the street lights lit this town like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down.
Alright, here we are, folks.
Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in us. They know we'll burn down tonight. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up.
Welcome back once again. This is Chris Report, and he assured me that since I'm down in Boulders, folks, this is Chris Wyatt reporting from South Africa. Hey, folks, welcome back to the program. This is Chris live in Central Pennsylvania. Live in Central Pennsylvania. It is Monday, January 15th, 2024, Martin Luther King Day, a federal holiday here in the United States, and a holiday in many states around the country, celebrating the life and accomplishments of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was assassinated back in the 1960s. Welcome back to the program. And my apologies for the helter-skelter start, finish, back and forth. If you've had trouble finding the broadcast, it was unfortunate, but YouTube is playing its games again. I don't know if they're having server issues, but the stream wouldn't set up. Then it did set up when I went back to recreate it, and then I wanted to start that when I had the wrong settings, and I tried to stop it, and it would. Anyway, so long story short, it took a good 25, 40 minutes to get this this stream going. So welcome to the program. Thanks for being here. And yes, a bit of traction on the International Court of Justice videos, and I'll do more since there's interest there. Picking up a few subscribers, which are much needed here as YouTube continues to steal subscribers from us. I don't know why they do that. Why don't they go bother someone else who's actually got millions of subscribers instead of a tiny little channel like this with less than 15,000 subscribers? Wouldn't that be cool to set a goal to hit 15,000 next couple months? That'd be cool. Still a long way from where we were a few years ago before censorship, the heavy-handed censorship, hit us hard. I am wearing rugby kit today for those who are curious. And apologies, I don't have the cough at the moment, which I've had for going on 6 weeks now, but I do have some congestion, which is weird. Let me show you the rugby kit. It is a hoodie from the Rugby League World Cup in England. And in fact, this is an England hoodie. The England symbol right there with their lions. And here's the Rugby League World Cup, which I attended multiple games. The Rugby League World Cup in England in 2021, played in 2022. All right, let me say hello to everybody in the chat, and I'm going to get to some of the stuff here. And I'll talk about last night's video. I hope you liked it. I thought the backdrop was pretty good. So Dave Ranke is here. He enjoyed the video, and thank you for that. Trevor Bush. And of course, there have been many, not many, but some negative comments about my video. But of course, they're the usual nonsense. There's no counter argument. Flimsy facts. Pff, you know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's, okay. Then please enlighten us. Share with us your facts, your information, your analysis of the situation. It's easy for the cowardly keyboard warriors to simply type their little comments there and then not support it. There's a gentleman who is responding in a polite fashion, but he is responding in a trolling manner. He says he's not trolling, but every time he responds, he says, I don't offer people an opportunity to refute what I have to say. Well, I do, but that hasn't been the tenor of this channel of late because nobody's watching except the dedicated, faithful, loyal who've been watching my program for a long time. We're not gaining subscribers, so it's not spreading the word. So who do you suggest I bring on that will have a countervailing point? Now, we are trying to work on getting Canfam Pillay on here for opposing views. We'll see if that works. But a little programming announcement here. Vinant Dutoy and I will resume our Fireside with the Colonels bi-weekly program coming up most likely next Monday on the 22nd. So that program will resume right here on this channel. So if you're interested in the Fireside with the Colonels, that program is coming back next week. Also, I've invited Ernst von Sale, the Conscious Carrick, who's now the Director of Public Relations for AfriForum, to come on the program. I'm not sure which topic we're going to discuss, but there's a couple of them. We'll see which one he's comfortable discussing. Now that he's kind of a big wheel at AfriForum, I'm not sure what kind of latitude he has to speak on social media. Anyway, we'll find out. So, Trevor Bush is here, Dylan Combrick, Alan, Keith Alderson, Rod Lofeld is in. Hey, Rod, I'm from Nelsprint. Hey, did you go to the big ANC party there? Allison Johnson, Brian Lawrenson's here. Gus is here. Trevor Bush. Some Israelis are making the point. By the way, it's interesting, Brian, because if I'm wrong about this attribution to you, you can correct me. But one of the comments was that I don't, tolerate opposing views, which is absolutely ridiculous. If I recall correctly, Brian, I think you're the one that posted on one of my videos. I'm not trying to call you out. If I get it wrong, I apologize. But I think it was you who said, someone posted on my video of the ICJ that the U.S. started the war in Ukraine. I didn't bother to respond, but that's clearly an opposing view and clearly one that's incorrect. If it was whoever wrote it, whether it was you, Brian, or someone else, it's clearly incorrect. The United States did not start the war in Ukraine. Vladimir Putin did that, and he did that because of the intransigence of Volodymyr Zelensky, the grifter in charge of the Ukraine. Ooh, that's going to hurt some feelings. I called it the Ukraine, not Ukraine. Anyway, and Garrett is saying the intro is long. You must be drinking a lot of wine, Garrett. That's the same intro that I've been playing for 3 weeks. It's not any longer than it was before. Paulie's here. Good traction the last few videos. Yeah, a little bit of traction. Not as much as I got for the rugby videos during the World Cup, but hey, anything will work. We'll take it. Right. So, who else we got here? Tony Nage is in from Canada, minus 30 degrees Celsius. Now, after boasting I hadn't coughed once all morning, it's 11:20 here in the Eastern Standard Time, I cough. You got to love it. Tony Nage in from Canada. Once you get down to about minus 30 Celsius, Celsius and Fahrenheit kind of converge. It's almost the same. I think minus 32, they're the same. Frick Erasmus, good evening to you. Sedgefield's here. And who else we got? Wolf K is back. Shannon Dickens. Hey, Shannon, how you doing? And then Rebel Canners. Wow, we got some U.S. audience in here. Helen, Free Gypsy Rich. She changed that. I really enjoyed your video on the ICJ. Thank you. Okay, cool beans. Missed the cancer party. Beard looks great. Thank you for that, Tony. It's cut last week. And Dave says, hit the like button. Yeah, please hit the like button, folks. 51 people currently here. We've had some big audiences for live streams lately, but that's the concurrent audience, not the total viewers. So I think a lot of people who know the channel are tuning back in for the first time in a while. It took me a while to get on the channel. Yeah, Vilma, I don't know if that's because of the bad link. My apologies for that. But again, YouTube is playing their games. Now, I don't know if they're playing games. It's probably just server failures. But hey, Erica, had a very hard time getting the stream set up. So, all right, let's get to the news. Just need a little refreshment here. Give me a second. Yep, Garrett says correct. 32 Fahrenheit. Yep, minus 32. Yeah. So once they get, there's a separation above zero. Once you get below zero, head towards absolute zero, it converges, which is interesting. I'm not sure how that all works. It's a scientific thing. It's beyond us. Interesting. One of the comments on my videos was typical right-wing echo chamber. Right-wing echo chamber. Yeah. Okay. I don't think people who type those things actually know what right-wing is. They really don't know what right-wing is. Anyway, Adrio Fick is back. Hey, welcome back from the garden route. Yeah, I love the garden route. It's beautiful. I've only ever done it the one time. That was in August of last year, my first trip back to South Africa after the COVID scam. I went the garden route, and my traveling companion, who was actually doing the driving, was none other than Rob Hutchison, formerly of RSA. Rob Hutchison offered, he just moved down there to the Western Cape, and he offered to drive. And so Rob drove, and he met me at the airport in George. We went from George, went back to Mossel Bay, where I stayed overnight, stayed at the Santos Express. I met with Hein Marks. We did a live broadcast, which was pretty cool. And then hung out in Mossel Bay, and Hein gave me a tour of the area, which was pretty cool. Went down to the beach, well, the breakwater, not beach. And then overnight in the Santos Express, we had a meet and greet there, which is an incredible meet and greet. And that, of course, I'll never forget that night, because that's the night that Ronaldo was trying to egg me on, because the hate wanker down under was was making fraudulent claims about me. He was slandering me once again, claiming that I was was e-begging for my trip or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, when I freely told people that some of the accommodation was being provided by people in their homes, others for free of charge, and a couple of my nights were being paid for by other people who offered to pay for it to support the trip. Otherwise, such a trip would not be possible. I'm not independently wealthy. I don't own multiple businesses. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I didn't win the lottery. And I'm not a caterer who's rich from illicit gains. I'm a hardworking individual who's worked my tail off my entire life. And what I have, I saved and invested, taught myself. Otherwise, I'd be pretty hungry right now. So anyway, grateful for those who were able to contribute, and that's what I said in the trip. And then the little eucalyptus leaves sucking clown from down under attacked me personally. I'll never forget that because I absolutely went off on that stream, and there was some serious profanity on that stream. If it had been a over-the-air broadcast, it would have been censored by the authorities. But Ronaldo was egging me on, and I knew he was, but I had enough of it. I had enough of that guy. So I never forget that night in Mossel Bay. From Mossel Bay, Rob Hutchison and I drove down the garden route. We went back past George, went down past Nizna, and we continued on all the way to Port Elizabeth, Nelson Mandela Bay, Habana. Yeah, and then he dropped me off at the lodge I stayed at overnight, which was provided generously by Ronaldo. And then I left. We had a meet and greet in Port Elizabeth, which was pretty epic, pretty cool. Citizen Guardian was there, Ants was there, Jax was there. Renee Kruger came to that one. It was super cool. I'm really glad Renee came because she no longer lives down there. She lives up in the Free State now, and so she got to come to it. And I'm really glad all those people did. It was really nice, exciting experience. Yeah. So I haven't watched Ronaldo for a very long time, says Tony. Yeah, well, you haven't watched me much of late either, but glad to see you again. My maths aren't so good. They still have not documented all the flower types in the Drakensberg. I'm not surprised by that, Tony. I mean, the hubris of humans, and we're going to talk about that today when I get to Iceland and the Grunvik volcano, which is once again active. There is a fissure in the surface of the earth, and it's consuming part of the town. Pretty scary stuff if you live in Iceland, but you do live on top of a ring of fire, and that is dangerous. I don't think the Vikings necessarily knew that when they settled there centuries ago. Looking forward to welcome you back. Well, thank you, Andreleo. Vic, last time I went up the West Coast, which is the first time I've ever been up the West Coast of South Africa. And this time I think I'll probably go back to the Garden Route area, go back to Mossel Bay and George, and possibly drive all the way over to Port Elizabeth. So we'll see. Anyway, but yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to make the Durban trip next time. I'll see. Depends when it is. If there's some rugby, I'll definitely try to do that. That was really handy and convenient last time. Although I got ripped off on the rental car. That was a dumb idea. I'll never rent a car from that what is that, Pink First Rental or whatever it's called. Those guys ripped me off big time. I'll stick to Avis, which was always the plan. But the only reason I went with that rental car is it looked like a good deal when I booked my flight on Fly Saf Air. And I booked Fly Saf Air, and it was reasonable price. Flew down and came back the same day, which was pretty cool. So I went from Joburg, like many business executives in South Africa. I flew from Joburg to Durban and back in the same day. Pretty cool stuff. Yep. Hey, Marilyn Brokenshaw. Marilyn, are you well? I haven't seen you in a while. Watching the Brandy's comment on your trim beard and wanted to know when you are coming to visit again. The Brandy's. I don't know what that means. Well, folks, my plan was to come back when the elections are taking place. I wanted to come again in January, February, but that's not going to be possible. Again, look, I'm not a starving student, but I'm also not Bill Gates. And so I have to balance my finances. And given the fact that I had to cough out money for repair of my car, which was a few grand, which was unexpected. And I also had to get a root canal, which was unexpected. And I haven't paid for that yet. Plus, I had to get a crown replaced. That was unexpected. Those things between them are about $5,000 of unanticipated expenses that should not have occurred. The car, look, you do regular maintenance on it. I plan on maintenance, tire rotation, replacement, all that stuff is normal. But this was a transmission issue that is unexpected and should not have happened. So that cost me a few $1,000s. The root canal was a bit of a surprise, but actually in the end, it probably explains a lot of the pain that I've had over the past decade in my mouth. I probably had an infection in that jaw for years, and it's been held at bay by antibiotics because I was taking antibiotics much of the time for malaria in Africa. And so maybe that explains it, because that pain seems to be gone completely now that used to be there for a long time. So, but those unexpected root canals and dental work, along with the car and a few other things, have really put a dent in current finances and its cash flow. So I can't go back right now. Plus, there's other events coming up. I was supposed to be in Rwanda this week, right now, wrapping up in Rwanda, but that trip, I'm not sure what's going on with that. Also, we have elections. I had planned to go to New Hampshire for the primary, which is next week, but I've had to scrub that because of other events going on, which I'll talk about at some point, but not right now. So a lot of flux in my calendar and schedule for the moment, and I'll try to keep you updated on it. But the plan is to come back for the elections in South Africa, which are supposed to be in May. So we'll see what happens. I may, in fact, be registered as an election observer, which would be interesting. That would be pretty cool. So Oh, okay. I didn't know that was. Didn't know that. Thank you for that, Marilyn. No, I'd like to see them. That'd be great to see them. So love to come back. Tony said, just replace in my truck. I don't know what that is. Then the cold hit and the heater fan won't work. Ooh, oh, your heater can't defrost. Well, that sucks. That sucks. Still waiting for the announcement of the hidden fort that will be found at the base of Table Mountain. Hidden fort. There's a hidden fort at the base of the mountain. Largest warehouse in Moscow. Wow. So a warehouse in Moscow burned down. I didn't see that listed anywhere. Anyway, yeah, so Andreo Fick, thank you for that. Welcome back, and I look forward to the garden round at some point. Yeah, so the next trip, probably in May, hopefully. By then, finances should be in order, unless I get more sudden root canals that I'm unprepared for. But I haven't even paid for those. Those are coming up. And so I've paid off the car because I pay my bills in full every month. And otherwise, I don't spend money. But that does drain what's available for cash. And so I've paid off the credit card charge on the car. And next comes the first root canal, then the dental work, or maybe simultaneous. We'll see. Fitting stones, very overgrown, climbed inside. Well, that's cool, Tony. That's cool. That must have been something they did back in the 17th century. May 22nd, 24th for the elections. Yeah, Garrett, that's what I thought. I want to come for a month, but I don't know if it'll come for a month. There may be some other events that are precluding a full month, so it might just be a 2-week visit. We'll see, or a week. I'm hoping a month. If it's only a week, I'm only going to be in 2 places then. If it's only a week, I'll only be in Cape Town and Joburg. If it's 2 weeks, I'll be Cape Town, Joburg, and one other place. If it's a month, I'll be Cape Town, Joburg, and then also probably the garden route. Yep. So, oh, spell check. Okay, thank you for that. Oh, if you just said Grandies, I would have got it. It said Brandies. I thought Brandies was like young chicas. Ooh, the chicas are looking for me now. I thought maybe there's a bunch of young 19 to 22-year-old co-eds, the Brandies, were looking for me. Anyway, Teresa, welcome to you. Anyway, folks, that's kind of where we're at right now. Let me just check on my phone to see if it's fully charged. It's not fully charged. I'm trying to recharge my mobile. Yeah, largest warehouse in Moscow. Like Amazon. Wildberries burnt down. Well, Erica, we're hoping you're walking long before then, but good thoughts. Hey, George Steinberg, welcome to you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get to some news here. We've got a lot of news to talk about, but first, let's just talk about what today is. In the United States, today is a federal holiday recognized by the federal government, which that means is that the military and all non-essential government workers are off duty today. Now, there are military working. There are Federal Aviation Administration employees working, Customs Border Patrol, law enforcement, things like that. But non-essential employees are not working. Those who have to work are working in shifts. It's a federal holiday. Many states recognize this holiday, but it's not guaranteed. What is interesting for me is that when I looked up today's holiday to get some information about, about the event, to see what is said, this is what turns up on Martin Luther King. If you do a search for Martin Luther King Day 2024, and this is what you'll get. These are, they give you the schedule. It doesn't tell me things about the day. You have to search for it in a different way. Will mail be delivered? No, because it's a federal holiday. Dr. King, full list of big store openings, as well as banks, post offices, and parks. And that's from the Daily Mail, which has a U.S. presence, but it's a U.K. publication. MLK Day 2024, local schedule changes on the federal holiday. What's open and closed? What's open and closed on CNN? What's open and closed? Here's what's open and closed. Martin Luther King holiday. What's open? What's closed? This is Baltimore cancels the MLK Day parade due to the winter weather. It's quite chilly here, folks. The temperature has dropped significantly from yesterday. It is down. I think it was 23. No, it's 26 now. So it's not as bad as I thought it was. But yeah, MLK Day, that's what they focus on for Martin Luther King Day, not the man's accomplishments, not his peaceful protest, not his assassination, not the Selma bus, not all the bus boycotts and all this stuff. No, it's just focused on the Montgomery bus boycott, the Selma March. It's focused on what stores are open on the federal holiday. That's pretty sad and tragic if you ask me. But here are 10 surprising facts about Dr. Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, a true civil rights icon. And let me just get to that very quickly here. And we're going to go through this very quickly. 10 things you might not have known. There he is on August 28th of 1963 in Washington, D.C. That's where he delivers his famous I Have a Dream speech. Dr. Martin Luther King, a pivotal figure in the civil rights movement, dedicated his life to advocating for racial harmony and the realization of the American dream for all. As the U.S. comes together to celebrate his life and legacy today, Time magazine compiled a number of lesser-known facts about the man whose unwavering commitment to justice and equality shaped the course of American history. He was the first black person to ever be named Time's Man of the Year in 1963. King later said being named Time's Man of the Year, now Person of the Year, was a tribute to the entire civil rights movement. He improvised part of his I Have a Dream speech. The resounding I Have a Dream speech that he delivered at the march in D.C. in 1963 almost didn't include those powerful words. His advisors thought he had overused the theme in his speeches, prompting him to draft a different speech for the address titled Normalcy, Never Again. But as King addressed the crowd of nearly 250,000 in Washington, gospel singer Mahalia Jackson called out to him, Tell him about the dream, Martin. He paused and decided to leave his prepared notes behind to improvise the entire next section of his speech, which famously began, So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. An assassination attempt affirmed his faith in nonviolence. A decade before he was actually assassinated, he narrowly escaped another assassination attempt while signing copies of his memoir during the year-long Montgomery bus boycott, the book Stride Toward Freedom. Isola Ware Curry, a 42-year-old black woman, approached him and thrust a 7-inch ivory-handled steel letter opener into his chest with such force that it snapped the handle. Wow. She said, I've been after him for 6 years. I'm glad I done it. Wow. The blade stopped just beside his heart. Doctors later told me if he'd so much as sneezed, he would not have survived. After the incident, he bore no animus toward the woman and did not want charges pressed, reiterating his commitment to nonviolence. She was committed to a mental hospital, and she died in 2015. Dr. King is the only non-president whose birthday is a national holiday. Yep. He started college when he was just 15 years of age. And his family paid hospital bills for Julia Roberts' birth. Actress Julia Roberts revealed that the King family covered her parents' hospital expenses when she was born in 1967. My parents couldn't pay for the hospital, she told Gayle King in a 2022 interview on the History Channel. Roberts explained that her parents owned a theater in Atlanta and that Coretta Scott King asked if her children could enroll. They were having a hard time finding a place that would accept her kids, and my mom was like, sure, come on over. And so they all just became friends, and they helped us out in the jam. Dr. King was arrested 30 times, and his family believes James Earl Ray was framed for the assassination. He was the youngest person to be awarded a Nobel Peace Prize at the age of 35 in 1964. And of course, he's named after Protestant reformer Martin Luther. King was born Michael King on January 5th, 1929. But in 1934, his father, a pastor at Ebenezer Church in Atlanta, also named Michael King, went on a religious trip around the world inspired by Germany's Protestant Reformation figure Martin Luther, whose advocacy and teachings challenged the Catholic Church, contributed to the split of Western civilization, Western Christianity, I should say. After returning to the U.S., his father made a decision to change his 5-year-old son's name and his own in honor of the Protestant Reformation. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birth certificate was officially revised on July 23rd, 1957. And there are some little-known facts about Dr. King on Martin Luther King Day, folks. Wow, that's some interesting stuff, wouldn't you say? Let's see who we got here in the chat since then. Brian says, I think Colin is right. Zuma might be aiming for Natal and Mpumalanga, Botswana. He's a Russian train. It's not about the color of skin of the man, but the content of his character. Yep, profound and true. I have a dream that all people will be able to admit and accept that the Western Cape is the crappiest place in South Africa. Okay. What else? Dave says, could you explain more about why the ICJ has no power to do anything with Israel? Okay. All right. Well, there's two different arguments here. Dave, you asked me why I believe there's no legitimate case before the court or why it has no power. Well, it has no power because the International Court of Justice has no enforcing mechanism. There's no army. There's no police. They're not going to go arrest anybody. They can't sanction anyone. They have no authority whatsoever. It is a body that states agree to abide by its decisions. And as I mentioned previously, there are a few decisions that come to mind. The first of which is over 20 years ago, Botswana and Namibia were disputing over Sududu Island, which is a small, constantly changing island based on sand flow in the Chobe River between the two countries, between the Caprivi Strip and northern Botswana. So they went to the International Court of Justice, and over 2 decades ago, the International Court of Justice, looking at old treaties and boundaries, made a judgment in favor of Botswana. Sududu Island belongs to Botswana. Of course, a couple years ago, I did some videos on that when there were some fishermen who were killed by the Botswana Defense Force when they're illegally fishing on the island. Of course, the Namibians, wholly emotional and not objective, started making all kinds of outlandish claims and calling me a racist. Calling me a racist. I was reporting on a dispute between black folks, and I wasn't saying any black folks were bad or evil. I was simply stating the facts as they were. And they got emotional and attacked me. And those videos got a lot of views, as I recall, but a lot of hatred from Namibia. And those people go shove it up their shorts because they're just not objective. I understand the emotion over people being killed, but when you commit crimes, you put yourself at risk, and you shouldn't be doing that. Anyway, Sududu Island was awarded by the International Court of Justice to Botswana, and both parties accepted it. And since then, it's been recognized as Botswana's sovereign territory. The Bokassi Peninsula in Cameroon was an Anglophone-speaking region that was part of Nigeria. However, Cameroon claimed it. The International Court of Justice heard the case between Nigeria and Cameroon and awarded the Bokassi Peninsula to Cameroon. Both Nigeria and Cameroon abided by the decision. And in a case in which shows the evidence that the International Court of Justice has no enforcement mechanism and is toothless, China was taken to the court by, I believe, other countries in the region over its fraudulent, bogus, illegitimate, nonsensical, ridiculous claim to the Spratlys and the Paracel Islands and the Scarborough Shoals in the South China Sea, territory that is nowhere near China, much closer to the Philippines, Vietnam, even Indonesia than it is to China. China was the loser in that case. The International Court of Justice said that China has no legitimate claim to sovereignty and must stop destroying coral reefs in there to build military bases on artificial islands. China said, Fotsek, screw you, we do what we want. They did not abide by it. To this day, they have not retreated from the South China Sea. So there you go. That is why it's toothless and has no ability to enforce anything. As far as standing, yes, the court has stretched the treaty beyond the initial intent of it to claim extrajudicial sovereignty over issues when signatories are involved. Israel is a signatory to the Genocide Convention. However, the problem is that you have to prove genocide. South Africa has no proof of genocide. Civilian deaths do not equal genocide. The destruction of apartment buildings, schools, and clinics do not equal genocide. Genocide must have intent, and it must meet certain elements in order to be considered genocide. There is no effort by Israel to wipe out Palestinians. That's ludicrous. There's no effort. If there were, they'd all be dead by now. They could have all been killed. See, that's the argument people are. Well, if Israel wanted to wipe out the Palestinians, then why didn't they just kill them all? They could drop mother of all bombs all over Gaza and kill all these people. But they haven't done that. The reason I say that civilian casualties are not genocide is because they're not. Under the land of law warfare and the Geneva Conventions, they're very specific, as well as the Genocide Convention, very specific mentions of what this is. There are crimes against humanity, but Israel wasn't accused of crimes against humanity. They're accused of genocide. And this is where South Africa failed. This is not the right charge or the right venue. They cannot prove intent. If the mere existence of the destruction of civilian communities and civilians killed indiscriminately is the definition of genocide, then Ukraine and Russia must be hauled before the International Court of Justice. They can haul each other. And South Africa is completely silent on that. In a case of actual genocide taking place in Myanmar by the military junta seeking to wipe out Rohingya and other ethnic minorities, exterminate them, South Africa is completely silent and has not taken Myanmar to the International Court. So this is not the right venue. They have no evidence of what they're saying, and therefore there is no authority here. If the International Court of Justice finds anything other than dismissing South Africa's claims, then they're a fraud. It's as simple as that. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. All right, did I answer your question there, Dave? Okay. Why does South Africa think the ICJ can do anything with this conflict if they have no jurisdiction? Surely they're not that stupid. Okay, let's be clear, Dave. The court has jurisdiction over a genocide, even if a party is not directly affected. Now, the problem here is that the ICJ resolves disputes between states. The argument South Africa is making is that we told Israel to stop committing genocide, and they ignored us. So we have a dispute. Now, that's a false pretext. Israel received a note verbal over the Christmas holidays from DIRCO, the South African Director of International Relations Cooperation. They received a note verbal. A note verbal is a diplomatic communication between governments and embassies and back and forth between embassies. And so that's how it works. So I've done thousands of note verbals, read thousands, written dozens, if not hundreds of them. So a note verbal was the message sent to tell them cease and desist. Now, the conflict started on October 7th. Israel didn't invade Gaza until what, around the 20th of October, something like that, or the 28th, something like that. So all of November and all of December. So nearly 60 days of conflict, and Israel sends a note when they know that the diplomatic community is on 2 weeks of vacation and they're thinly manned and almost no one at the embassies. And Durko, the same thing. There's no one there to respond back. They sent a note verbal saying, this is urgent. You must respond. On the same day, according to the Israelis, they sent a response saying they will give them a response, but they need a couple days to put it together. If this is so urgent, why was South Africa on vacation? Why did they not respond to Israel's reply and then lie to the court saying they never got a response? Israel has a copy of the note verbal they sent and the electronic data support when they sent it. So what is going on here? Well, South Africa is trying to fabricate an excuse to create a dispute. Without that dispute that they were not responsive to the question of genocide, there is no dispute between South Africa and Israel. There is no dispute. But South Africa is claiming that they tried to get Israel to stop a genocide, and Israel ignored it. Therefore, we have an argument that the court must hear. That's completely fabricated and fictitious. If this was a real concern about genocide, it was obvious that thousands of civilians were dying and more were going to die as early as the second week of November. Where were these legal beagles from the ANC in November and throughout December? No, they wait until the Christmas holidays to fabricate a pretext to fraudulently go before the International Court of Justice over a dispute. Israel has not impinged on South Africa's rights. They have not harmed South Africa's interest in South Africa or in Israel. And this is a fictitious, made-up incident. So there is no dispute. Therefore, the court has no jurisdiction. Someone else can bring the case if they address this with Israel and Israel ignores them. Yes. Dave Ranke says that makes sense. Thank you so much. But the problem, Dave, is that people want to get emotionally wrapped up in this. Again, the people who are putting negative comments on my videos, which is fine, if that gets them off, that gets their endorphins going, but they offer nothing of substance. Oh, you never listen to opposing views. Okay. You have an opposing view? Please share. Just an echo chamber. Okay. For a second time, you're giving an opportunity now here to put your response here. What do you take issue with? What facts are in dispute that I've stated? Where is my analysis incorrect? For the third time, I'm giving you an opportunity. These people are just frauds. They have nothing to back up their argument. They just want to run their mouths and be arrogant little asshats. And that's the truth of the matter, folks. And it's really pathetic. Excuse me, I need to charge my headset for when I go out later on in case I get a phone call, which I tend to get while I'm on the road. And I don't drive, talking on the phone with my, there you go. All right, so let that charge up there. All right, so the case is red meat for the anti-Western. Exactly what it is, Radine. That's the purpose of it. So what did the ANC hope to accomplish? A couple of things. Number one, as I said in my other video, this is a distraction. Just like Joe Biden's proxy war in Ukraine, it's a distraction from his failures at home. Joe Biden now, despite all his distractions and trying to mislead, hoodwink, and lie to the American people and the world, has a 33% approval rating, lower than Donald Trump's. And Donald Trump, of course, was assailed fraudulently by the media, by leftists, with fake Russia collusion, fake Ukraine stuff, lies about racism, lies about Charlottesville, lies about everything under the sun. Every time you turn around, he was undermined and subterfuge was taking place. And despite all of that, and not to mention the fact that Donald Trump is a bit of an arrogant asshat and crass and rude, despite all of that, his approval ratings never dipped to 33%. I think 34 is his lowest. So Joe Biden is even less popular than Donald Trump was. And Joe Biden gets fawning press. He gets press all the time talking about how the economy's strong and things are great. Meanwhile, Citibank is laying off 20,000 white-collar workers, 20% or 10% of its workforce. Yeah. Yeah. So despite the fawning press, Americans aren't that stupid. And Joe Biden has an absolutely abysmal rating. But I think he should have about 13% approval rating, to be honest. Acid Zill says in the beginning, Israel said that if they want to leave, they can go as they're going to start killing them, and they gave them time. Yes and no, Acid. So not entirely exactly correct. The problem is that, and I criticized Israel for this, and see, this is where, when you see people's comments on my videos, well, another right-wing echo chamber. No. Do you pay attention to what's being said here? I said from the outset, Israel announced that they were going to attack, and they gave people time to get out. They told them where to go. But the problem is they told them to go to the southern border and to exit into the Sinai. But the Sinai is shut down. Did you see the border defenses that Sinai that the Egyptians have erected? Oh my goodness, like 18 rows of, I'm embellishing now, of razor wire, 40-foot walls, barriers, double walls. But we can't have a border on our wall on our border because, apparently that's inhumane. But everyone else in the world can do it. Hungary can do it. Russia can do it. Egypt can do it. But we can't do it. Michael said, I just understand how Israel can kill somebody. God bless, excuse me. Michael says, I just don't understand how Israel can kill so many civilians. Well, it's very simple, Michael. It's just like Russia and Ukraine. When you fight a conflict over urbanized areas, people are going to die, especially when Hamas doesn't let them flee. See, that's what's not being discussed here. And even Israel didn't bring this up in their case. People have told international media, and it's been ignored, that they tried to flee. They tried to get away. But Hamas won't let people go away. They actively stop people at the point of the barrel of a gun from fleeing because they want civilian casualties. That's why Israel can kill so many civilians, because Hamas wants them dead. This isn't about the Palestinians. This is about overturning the civilized world. That's what it's about. And South Africa's ANC is a part of that effort to overturn the civilized world. Now, I'm not saying it's some organized cabal that gets together in the meadows fortnightly and gets down and says, okay, now our next step is critical race theory. Now we're going to, demonize people and bring No, I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying that all these little things that play into their hands are things that they actively use to undermine civilization, in particular Western civilization, to the detriment of humankind. And that's what they want here. They don't care about the Palestinians. If they did, they wouldn't have ever committed the atrocities committed on October 7th. Israel wasn't attacking Gaza on October 6th. Even when Hamas was firing rockets in Israel, they weren't shooting back. They were knocking them down as best they could with the Iron Dome. So, it's just people just can't even use common sense when it comes to this argument here. But Michael, how can Israel kill so many civilians? Because they have no option. The option is to allow Hamas and Islamic Jihad to continue to fire rockets into Israel, killing people, or to target the places where those things came from and go after Hamas. And the problem is Hamas is in hospitals, it's in kindergartens, it's in schools with weapons, with rockets, with mortars, with RPGs. So I don't understand your point here. I get where you're coming from, Michael, and it's tragic. None of these people should have had to die. But again, Israel didn't elect Hamas. The Palestinians in Gaza did. And they've not had elections since 2005 when they took over. Israel pulled out. And the fraud of all this stuff when people start being Israel out of Gaza. Israel has no business in Gaza. October 6th, Israel wasn't in Gaza. October 7th, Israel wasn't in Gaza. October 15th, Israel wasn't in Gaza. They have been gone for over a decade. Well over a decade, nearly 2 decades. That area is administered by the Palestinian Authority, which is controlled by Hamas, not Israel. So, it's people need to be a little better informed before they just cry tears. Where are the tears for the 1,200 people who were butchered on October 7th? Where are the tears for those people? Innocent civilians, women, gang rape, their genitals nailed to the ground, to wooden boards, spikes driven into their vagina, breast cut off. Excuse me a second here. Sorry, folks, that was about my tooth, my crown. So they want me to come back in. So it must have come in. Sorry about that, but that was an important call. So I'll call them back in a little bit. Okay, so I sorry, this congestion's bothering me now. It's like not in my nose, but at the back and not down my throat. And it wasn't like that before. All right, so let me get back to what people are saying in the chat here. So, Michael, the reason that so many civilians can be killed, I don't. Your question is kind of open-ended. I just don't understand how Israel can kill. Well, do you mean the mechanism or how they have the ability to kill people without any remorse? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. You have to understand there's a lot of anger in Israel. And a lot of people are calling for far more destruction than is being exercised because they're going after military targets, not civilians, but civilians are congregating around them because Hamas won't let them go, and they use civilian facilities, which under the law of land warfare and the Geneva Conventions makes those legitimate military targets. Hamas stop. But here's the problem for Hamas. Where are they going to go? There's a reason why they use civilian targets, because there's nowhere else to go. Hamas is in an incredibly urbanized enclave in Gaza. There are buildings everywhere. And so they have very few options. They're easily taken out if they go to farm fields and vineyards, that the few that exist, then the Israelis could take them out. So they hide in civilian facilities. John Jarvis on 702 said this morning, Eastern Cape Judge, is that Eastern Cape Judge or ICJ? I'm not sure. Was asked if South Africa conducted the case on their own or were put up to it by a third party. She said it was likely done on behalf of another party. Yeah, I'm sure. Probably done on behalf of the Chinese or the Russians. Yep. Daniel Prinslow's here. In your learned opinion, do you think the world is at the brink of war? Yes, we are on the brink of war. And I'll talk about that today. The media are foolishly and dangerously pushing us towards a war, and the public is uninformed. And I'll talk about that. News releases came out yesterday talking about how there's a plan. There's a plan. The Germans are deploying to Poland. The Germans they're going to be in war by 2025. Very dangerous, fraudulent misreporting of the facts. Ladies and gentlemen, I've talked about this many times. A proper military, professional military, has contingency plans. Contingency plans. I'll give you a perfect example of a contingency plan that became true. In 1990, Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. Central Command, CENTCOM, has planners on their staff, as do all the combatant commands that have geographic responsibility for the U.S. military. And other professional militaries around the world have planning staffs as well. So CENTCOM made plans for what if we have to fight a war with Iran? What if there's a war between Iran and Iraq and we get drawn into it? What if international shipping gets attacked in the Arabian Gulf, the Arabian Sea, the Persian Gulf? All these possibilities. What if we have to fight a war with Oman? They make all these possibilities. They make these plans. How many forces are needed? Where's the likely avenue of approach? Where's the likely attack? What are the operational objectives? What are the strategic objectives? This is all planned out. Every contingency you could possibly think about. That's why when terrorists hijacked our planes and flew them into our buildings, and people are like, no one ever thought of this, that's a lie. That's a lie. Intelligence analysts had already told us we were susceptible to that sort of attack. And we even had a Hollywood movie starring Steven Seagal and Kurt Russell, in which he was killed in the first 5 minutes. My favorite Steven Seagal movie ever. He was killed in the first 5 minutes. Executive decision. Remember that? Kurt Russell, they fly with a stealth bomber up to the commercial flight that's been taken by hijackers, Islamic terrorists, and they go in through the bottom of the plane, and then they take over the plane. Remember that? Yeah. They were trying to crash the plane into the White House full of chemical weapons. Remember that? So it wasn't like it was never thought of. So right now, foolishly, the media are gleefully reporting that the Germans are going to be in combat in 2025, that they'll be deploying hundreds of thousands of soldiers to Poland to attack Russia. Stop. Now, on top of that, I have a news report from Newsweek, which is also ridiculous, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit later on. But we are definitely, look, Joe Biden is starting conflicts everywhere he can go, and his failed, weak foreign policy is encouraging horrific things. The ANC have taken South Africa to a new low. Yes, they have, Charles. Yes, they have. Okay. Not even that, Eric. Our president. There was something here I missed. It's coming up here. It was from Hester. What did Hester say? She said something here. Hey, Carlos Mango. Good to see you there. Sorry. Something from Hester came up here. I'm not seeing it. Where'd Hester's comment go? Wars always have civilian casualties. Can't avoid it. That's true. But we've become inoculated against that. Because the U.S. has been so judicious in its effort to avoid civilian casualties, anytime a civilian is killed, people lose their minds. Imagine if the Israelis killed 30,000 Palestinians in a single night. Would that be genocide? Yes, the number of casualties is also in question too. Hamas is inflating the numbers, but one is too many. So Russia and Ukraine killed far less civilians. Israel and Palestine are very tiny. How can Israel kill so many civilians? Well, you've just explained it right there, Michael. You've just explained it. Gaza is so tiny. It's densely packed. It's one of the most densely packed places on the planet. The population density is through the roof. So if you land a bomb in the Karoo, you're not going to kill anybody. You might kill some varmints. You might kill some. Oh jeez. Oh gosh. What are the little dogs? They're not dogs there. What are the little? I'm drawing a blank right now. Gosh bless it. Oh my goodness. Oh, the little creatures that go out in the desert like this. Those guys. You might kill a few of them in the Karoo, but you're not going to kill 1,000 people. But if you drop a bomb in Gaza, you could kill a whole bunch of people. There's a super chat from Pararuan. Hey, Pararuan, I'll get to that in just a moment. It's very easy. Dense population. If you drop a bomb in London, you're going to kill a lot of people. If you drop a bomb in Wales, in Snowdonia, you're not going to kill many people. There aren't many people there. It's pretty simple. Anyway, Tim Pool says we're already in World War III in the world. Well, Tim Pool is not really exactly an expert on anything except promoting Tim Pool. He's just some dude who makes comments. Can I see his experience in political science, history, his accomplishments? Look, I'm not poo-pooing him. He's an interesting guy to listen to. He's just some dude that wears a beanie because I guess he's going bald. I don't know what's going on. Trevor Bush says prior to 6/7, Gaza was Egyptian. They refused to take back Gaza. Correct. Exactly. Nobody wants them. There's 2 million Palestinians in Jordan. They don't want them either. They kicked them out of Kuwait after the war. Why? Because the Palestinians sided with Saddam Hussein against the Kuwaitis. So the Kuwaitis kicked the Palestinians out of Kuwait after the war, after we gave them back their country. Yep. Oh, there it is. Hester's, did you see my question on your video on the ICJ? I asked why do they give the ICJ platform? Reply told me, well, it's not a stupid question, Hester. The response from whoever wrote that is from an idiotic, stupid person. Your question is legitimate. Why would the ICJ take a hearing? Well, because it's obliged to. Any signatory who presents a case, they must consider hearing it. Israel and South Africa both signatories to the International Criminal Court, or International Court of Justice, International Court of Justice. So they have to do it. Israel's not with the ICC, but they are with the ICJ. Yep. So that's why, Hester. The people who said that to you they're just sad people. They're just sad people. All right, so whoever wrote that, don't worry about that. I didn't see that. You cannot say, don't be so naive. Civilian casualty numbers of both conflicts have not been verified. Not even those massacres have been verified. Okay. S-Box says, I'm anti-war. People should do nothing to stop. Should people do nothing to stop it just because they're imperfect? Do you know that professors, advocates, white, black, and Muslim presented the case? S-Box, yeah, okay. Okay, stop, okay? So what's Israel supposed to do? Allow Hamas to continue to come across the border and gang rape, stick nails, drive nails in the genitalia of women, cut their breast off, burn people alive, throw grenades into bomb shelters, blowing the limbs off of innocent civilians, put babies in ovens? Stop it, Esbach. Please. All of you people who are in this nonsense. So Israel's just supposed to allow their people to be slaughtered. They're not allowed to respond. They're not allowed to defend themselves. This is ludicrous. I'm also anti-war, Esbach, and I'm more anti-war than most people because I've served in combat and been shot at, and I'm very fortunate to be alive today. But the world is full of evil people, and in that crowd include Hamas. And the Palestinians bear responsibility for electing them. They do. Stop it. Stop it. Anti-war. Who's pro-war here? Who's pro-war here? Ukraine war continues. When has Joe Biden offered a peace conference? In 2 years in Ukraine. Not once. 0 times. The only peace effort that's been tried has been a sham effort by African states looking for relevance. When Cyril Ramaphosa flew to Poland with a platoon with cruise-served weapons and violated international norms of diplomacy under the Vienna Conventions and then screamed racism because they weren't allowed in the country because they're racist. It's nonsense. Who is pro-war here? Who is pro-war? Somebody here tell me if you're pro-war. Put your hand up. I'm not pro-war. This is a horrific conflict. It shouldn't be happening. And I would have executed differently. But I don't run the Israeli Defense Forces and I don't have their assets at my disposal. For me, this would have been a very much a special forces involved event. And surgical elimination of Hamas leadership and then their fighters. But Israel determined that that was not the possible way to do it. I'm not attacking Esbach, and nobody attack Esbach. We're not doing that. So let's be very careful here. All right? But I am trying to make the point. This entire argument. See, all these arguments it's as if nothing ever happened. As if Hamas never fired rockets for 15 years into civilian settlements, killing people indiscriminately. Schools, clinics, hospitals, kibbutzes, sports grounds, events. Every freaking day they fire missiles and the world ignores it. And then suddenly they go across the border and commit horrific, barbaric genocide. And time stops. The argument that Israel can't do this ignores all that came before it. It also takes out of context the history of Judaism and Jews and the way they've been persecuted and abused by every group around the planet. And in the 20th century, the Holocaust. Do you not think that weighs heavily on the minds of senior leaders of Israel? Why is conflict taking so long? Because it's urban. And what is Israel's end goal? Well, Radine, I'll tell you. It is because it's urban. Urban conflict. Look at Stalingrad. That didn't end in a day. Stalingrad took months in the dead of winter, in horrific conditions, in a much more brutal conflict than what we're seeing in Gaza. What's Israel's end goal? They've said their end goal from the very beginning. The extermination of Hamas. That's their goal. Now, when do you define that? When do you achieve that goal? That's another question. They have human rights backgrounds. Who has human rights backgrounds? The Black Advocate put Zoom in jail. Well, the Black Advocate also argued that kill the boar is not hate speech and it's not akin to a call to genocide. But then he says statements by Israeli politicians who are angered and said they want to kill Hamas, that is a genocide. So that hate speech is genocide, but not kill the boar. These people are hypocrites. I don't care that the human rights lawyers. The fact that someone has a human rights background doesn't mean jack squat. I have a human rights background. I've taught human rights with the International Committee of the Red Cross, the ICRC. I've also taught soldiers across the continent of Africa and U.S. military international humanitarian law. I've taught at the War College. I've practiced it. So I don't care that they have human rights backgrounds. It doesn't make them anything. People have agendas. Brian Thompson says, the element you are ignoring is the continued colonization, settlement of Palestine land, the West Bank by Israel. This has been brewing for years. No, Brian, I'm not ignoring that at all. I'm not ignoring that at all. I'm not ignoring it at all. Nope. Judea is part of Israel. Jordan attacked Israel in 1967 and was repulsed. The Israelis recaptured historic Judea and have been in possession of it since 1967. It is not wise of Israelis to put more settlements in the region amongst Arabs who are not Israeli citizens, who are unhappy. That's an unwise move. But Judea is part of Israel. So I'm not ignoring anything. That has nothing to do with Gaza. Nothing to do with Gaza. Of course it's been brewing for years. It's been brewing for 5,000 years. That's how long it's been brewing, since the Jews showed up. I'm not ignoring anything. You're taking something out of context and throwing a wrench into the side of the works here late in the conversation. And I'm happy to address it. We can talk about Judea. We can talk about the so-called West Bank. By the way, the West Bank of what? This reminds me of a video I saw, and I'm not going to show it because it'll get censored on YouTube, from an Australian broadcaster who just eviscerated the left in Australia on television argument. You know, on his program, he talked to the deputy prime minister in Australia and he said, well, your premise is that carbon dioxide is destroying the planet and heating the planet. And she said, yes, it's a dangerous emitter, a dangerous gas. And he said, well, what percentage of our Earth's atmosphere is comprised of carbon dioxide? She goes, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. Yet you're pushing to eliminate carbon dioxide. You don't even know what percentage of the atmosphere it is. For the record, it's 0.4, 0.4% of the atmosphere, or 0.04, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, so it's the same thing here. It's the same thing here. The West Bank of what? Of what? Most people don't even know why it's called the West Bank or what it's the West Bank of. Anybody know? All right. Jonathan, thanks for continued commentary on and to Southern. Thanks for not hammering on about the YouTube algorithm. Well, Jonathan, there's no point in complaining about it. South African Army have any contingency plans? Well, they should, but they don't, I'm sure. Okay, I'm getting the Peru super chat, which came a long time ago. It's 100 Rand. Sorry about that. That was a long. Where's the timestamps on this thing at? There we go. So that was, wasn't that long ago. It's about 11 minutes ago. So Pero Ruan sent 100 Rand super chats. You get another little bell ring on that. He said, here's my 10 cents on why do Egypt not open their borders to Muslim brothers and sisters. The answer is, where'd it go? Where'd it go? What the heck? Where'd the super chat go? Oh, there it is. That answers everything for me about people from Gaza not loved all around the world. Exactly. The only people that love the Palestinians are anti-Western haters and racist. That's the only people love them. They're not loved anywhere. Why? Because of the nonsense that's been going on. Now, look, I know Palestinians. I know Christian Palestinians. Good people. Good people. Went to university with Palestinians. Good people. Muslims and Christians. Good people. No problem with them. And many of them become American citizens over the years. No issues with them. But the behavior of Hamas is reprehensible. All right, Marilyn says you have to take everything in the mainstream with a large pinch of salt and skepticism. Yep. But you also have to be very careful on the non-traditional media too. People have agendas. What agenda do I have? Tell me what agenda I have. Fame? No, certainly not fame. Fortune? No, not fortune. Anti-Gaza? Nope. Anti-Muslim? Certainly not anti-Muslim. Pro-Jews? No, not pro-Jews. Anti-Jews? No. Pro-Israel? No. Anti-Israel? No. Nope. 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 Just the truth. Just the truth. All right. So, mongoose. What the heck is that? Why is the conflict taking so long? Oh, I already answered that question. Okay. Okay. Hit the like button. Yeah, please hit the like button. We had 90 folks here right now and just 65 likes. Something's missing in that algorithm. Why are there no solutions and discussions? We want to stop the war. Esbach, I'm with you. I want to stop the war too. So where are the discussions? Where is Israel or where is South Africa since October? Why is South Africa not pressuring Hamas to release the hostages? Did you see what they did today? Oh my goodness. I want to show this, but I'm not so sure if I get a copyright claim on YouTube. I can't trust them for anything anymore. Hamas said this today. Tomorrow we will inform you of their fate. 3 of the hostages, including the young lady who was famously on that motorbike when she was abducted. They're terrifying people. That's terror. They're acting as if they're like, we're going to tell you their fate today. We're going to kill them. We're going to execute them. This is unbelievable. Why is South Africa, who has very close relations with Hamas, not condemning Hamas? Okay, you could say we're not condemning Hamas because we want to be able to get them to change their behavior. But that's not what they're doing. They're palling around. They're inviting Hamas to hang out with them. They're meeting with them. They didn't offer to meet with the Israelis. Hamas murdered Israelis and international people, Christians, Jews, Muslims, killed them all. Horrific conditions. And what did South Africa do? They didn't go to Moscow. What are you doing? Stop that. They didn't criticize them publicly. They didn't talk to them privately. They encouraged them. South Africa has a duty, a responsibility here to end the conflict because of its close relationship with Hamas. But instead, it fuels the fires of hatred. The ANC. Stupid. Thanks, Chris. Then they must be brought to book. Yes, people must be brought to book. Absolutely, Spock agreed. Michael is still here, says, one thing Israel is not supposed to do is massacre civilians. How can you say Palestine is responsible when most of Gaza was not born when Hamas was voted in? Okay, Michael. Okay. All right. You ready for this? Are you ready? Everybody ready for this? I want a response to this. I want a thumbs up on my response. Now, do not pick on Michael. Michael asks fair questions here. They're typically left, but Michael asks fair questions. I don't want to see any attack on Michael, but I do want to see a thumbs up if you agree. If you disagree with my response, Michael. So one thing Israel's not supposed to do is massacre civilians. You are correct. Massacring civilians is a crime against humanity. It's not genocide. It's a crime against humanity. It's a war crime. It's what Omar al-Bashir was indicted for. How can you say Palestine is responsible when most of Gaza was not born when Hamas was voted in? Okay, you ready for this? Michael, how can you or anyone blame white South Africans for apartheid when most South Africans were born after the ANC took over? Boom! Mic drop! Mic drop! Thank you very much. I appreciate the door being open for that argument. Seriously. How can anyone blame white South Africans for apartheid when over half the population, over 60% of South Africa's population, maybe even higher now, was born after the ANC took over? They never participated in apartheid. They never benefited from apartheid, despite the lies in the legacy media. How can anybody blame white South Africans born after 1994 for apartheid and discriminate against them based on their skin color? Boom, 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 mic drop. Thank you very much. Now, as far as blaming Palestinians in Gaza, I can. Because those who were eligible to vote voted for them and have allowed them to prevent a future election since then. That doesn't mean the kids are responsible. Absolutely not. But the Palestinians, this isn't 1930 that this happened. This is 2005 that happened. All right. So, I'd like a ticket to Mexico, please, preferably close to U.S. border. I hope you can swim, Matthew. I hope you can swim. Paulie says 100% Leovin. Tony Nage. Brian says these Israelis are now doing the persecuting Palestinians. Thank you, Tony Nage. You got a membership. Courtesy, was it Moonbass gifted 5. Hey, Moonbass. How are the Israelis persecuting Palestinians? Please tell me. Matthew Dixon is the luckiest troll on YouTube. He always gets free memberships. The guy never has to pay for his membership. I don't see any thumbs down, mostly thumbs up. There's David. Thank you. Tony Nation's 100%. Oh my goodness. Marilyn, thumbs up. Teresa, cup of coffee, saying hi to John. Layla says thumbs up. Hester. Okay. And Tony, Matthew, skeptic, Mike B, scientist. There is a benefit for the kids from the parents. Nope. That's nonsense. See, that's nonsense, scientist. That doesn't mean there aren't some people who benefited from it. But Drs. Wayland Kesey benefited from medical education, medical school during apartheid. Tokyo Sex, Daniel Prinsley. Oh, that's a super chat. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Daniel. I was saluting you. I thought it was a membership again. Thank you for the 140 rand super chat. So that argument, who just made that argument? Oh, come on, I just saw that. Was it the scientist? Yeah, the scientist. The benefit for the kids from the parents. Okay, explain to me, scientist, this. The same argument's made here. Systemic racism and white people have privilege. Really? Then why did I qualify for full financial assistance by living in abject poverty in 1981 to go to university? A full Pell Grant, a full Ohio instructional grant, a full student loan. I'm white, kind of, sort of pink. Where did I benefit from that colonialization, that systemic oppression? That's nonsense. That's utter nonsense. That is an empty argument, scientist. I'm not attacking you personally. That is an empty argument. The kids benefited. Some kids, sure. Elon Musk didn't grow up in poverty. He benefited. But how did I benefit? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's a stupid argument that's made all the time by leftists. Don't fall for it. Sure, some people did. Tokyo Sex Wally, remember him? Married his attorney. White lady. They knock boots. Produced mixed race kids. Those mixed race kids get BEE preferential treatment, despite the fact that their mother is a white colonizer. Explain that one to me. You can't. Trevor Noah's dad was Swiss, white boy. Mom was Cosa. Claims to be colored. He's a fraud. He's not colored. He's mixed race. And then he claims he suffered under apartheid. What a liar. What an absolute liar. He doesn't know what it's like to be colored. Hendo knows what it's like to be colored. He knows what it's like for coloreds. Robin, who we haven't seen in ages on here, she knows what it's like for coloreds. She is colored. These are people who know what it's like in the Western Cape where coloreds live. Not frauds like Trevor Noah. The kids benefited. Sure, some do. Rich kids always benefit. Whether they're the offspring of the Chinese Communist Politburo members, the Soviet Politburo members, the ANC cadres, the National Party, those who own Anglo-American, there's always people that benefit from that. But that's not race tied. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. Carlos Mango, Monterey Seabrits. And thank you, Mubas, for the 5 members there. I haven't even gotten to the news yet, folks. Wow, what a crazy day here. We're almost an hour into. We're an hour into this. It's getting all wild and crazy, says John. Erica sent a super chat too. Thank you for that, Erica. 70 Rand. Dylan says, please don't rub it in. What hurts? Oh, being poor? No, I'm not Chinese. Didn't cough all morning. As soon as I sit down here, I start coughing. Ants is there. White Zulu. Hey, Fiona, you're back. I saw your message. You might not be back for today. You were feeling down. Charles looking for his white privilege. Agreed. Mark Sayre says, I'm white and in South Africa. I never got a free house, free solar geyser, free satellite, free education. We had to pay for it. No, Mark, what you don't understand is that because you're white, that meant that automatically you had preferential treatment in everything you did. So when you went to get your TV license, when you went to get your driver's license that didn't have a machine that worked, you were just given preferential treatment. Yeah, no, stupidity. I agree with you, Mark. Nonsense. USA can keep Trevor now. No, scientist. You must take him back. He's yours. We don't want him. And while you're at it, we'll give you Joe Biden. I have 3 colored sisters in Namibia. One goes to Stellenbosch University. Yeah, I know someone in Botswana who, the father's from South Africa, and he had a wife, and he had, I think 4 white kids. Then got divorced later on. He married a black woman from Botswana, and then he had 4 more kids. So he has 4 white kids and 4 mixed race kids. And they all get along fine. It's a blended family. They all get along fine. And Mark Sayers has become a member. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, they all get along fine. This is all meant to divide us, folks. It's meant to divide us. That's what it's all about. Tony, I didn't know you had color sisters. Vilma become a member. Is this someone else giving? Oh, Erica gave 5 memberships. Okay. All right, that's where it's coming from. Thank you, Erica. One goes to Stellenbosch. There's Elsie Jacobs. Thank you. Trevor's got Botox on his brain, says Moonbass. That's funny. If anyone finds my white privilege, please can you return some money. Many thanks in advance. Yeah, please send me mine. Hey, George. Right, this nonsense. This concept of privilege and advantage is being used to discriminate against people. It's open racism and bigotry. Gary Wainwright, thank you. It's being used to discriminate against people. And it's perfectly okay with people. They don't have a problem with it. Righting historical wrongs. Really? Can I have the historical wrongs when my Irish ancestors are shipped to the Caribbean as slaves, not indentured servants, as slaves by the Cromwell administration? Raiding Ireland? Went on for a century. Can I have compensation? Can I have reparations for the 7 great-great-grandfathers of mine, Charles Coleman, William Bear Grimes, and a host of others, including Levi Cross, who served in Union regiments despite the fact they came from southern and border states, Maryland and Virginia. All of them enlisted in the Union. Not a single one of my great-great-grandfathers fought for the Confederacy. And they restored the Union and ended slavery. Can I have compensation for their efforts? It's stupid. It's ridiculous. Israel is one of only a handful of countries that send SMS, WhatsApp, phone calls before they do a bombing run. That's true, Frederick. They did. Yeah, this ensure few civilians are killed. Yep, that's not even mentioned. Those are the countermeasures, the measures the Israelis have taken to reduce civilian casualties. But unfortunately, Hamas is putting themselves in the midst of civilians, where they want civilians dead. Why is nobody talking about that? Maryland's begging me not to send Trevor Noah back. 2nd sober anniversary from alcohol. Tony Nage. Well, congratulations, Tony. Wow, that's pretty impressive. S-Buck says, great conversation, Chris. Trevor's just doing self-marketing. He's one of the best in the world, the same as African Americans claim to be African. I don't know if he's one of the best in the world. Most people don't even know who Trevor Noah is. The Comedy Central Daily Show went off a cliff when what's his name there? Can't remember his name. The made-up name. It's not his real name. He took an Anglo name to hide the fact he was Jewish. I don't know why. Was he afraid of being Jewish? But he covered up his name there for the Daily Show. That show died, went off a cliff when Trevor Noah took over, and that's why they got rid of him. Mark says, thank you. You're welcome, Mark. We're not even getting to the news, folks. That's so much news. Wow, but this has been quite an interesting conversation. Love to take you up to the Moffat Mission in Livingstone. Okay. And then what else? Thanks for the warm welcome, says Fiona. You're welcome, Fiona. If you got a link for your channel, with your latest chapter, put that in there, Fiona. You've still got a spanner. Let people know about your latest channel. Tony says, my dad married a colored lady in Windhoek, but he never came back for 3 boys in Canada. He dropped with his sister. Ah, okay. Well, there you go. That's unfortunate, Tony. That's misbehaving on your father's part. So you have Namibia ties. That's interesting. All right, interesting. Dodgy Cromwell. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Gus is here. The best in the world is Dave Chappelle. Chappelle is, he can be funny at times, but the guy has got problems. I went to a Chappelle event at the comedy place in Baltimore when I worked at the National Security Agency. I think I paid like $70 for the tickets. He came out and he was so high, he couldn't even stand upright. He couldn't string a sentence together. And I sat there for 15 minutes listening to him just mutter. And I was so angry. I just got up and left. I never respected the guy ever again. He's so disrespectful to people who took their time to drive to a crime-infested neighborhood to hear his comedy and paid a fortune, which he got paid for. And an asshat shows up intoxicated by smoking weed. No respect whatsoever for the guy. Although his recent stuff, calling out the left, has been entertaining, he'll never get my full support. Yeah, Trevor Noah is a woke butthole. My uncle has 3 mixed-race kids, 1 from Tanzania, 2 from, what's that? The oldest is 25 and have a good job in government. Okay. White privilege card for sale. Still got student loan, home loan, vehicle loan attached to it, as well as pay and VAT payments due to. Yeah, exactly. Make him buy a ticket to Robben Island like the rest of us. Found out about my sisters through the gliding club Dad was a member of. I even my sister a few times till Dad found out he cut comms. Have you been back in touch with her? Have you been back? Get back in touch. Hey, John Moosline's here. Welcome to you. Fiona, there she is. There's the latest chapter of her Chapter 1, Durban, 1973. Thank you for sharing that. Leovin says, we have a Zulu friend a couple years younger than us who was shocked when I said washing dishes. She has never washed dishes in her life. Grew up with workers at home. Poor her. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, people's bigotry and racism and their stereotypes are not helpful. Yep. Anyway, well, folks, that's some pretty cool stuff there we've talked about here, and we've not even gotten to that. We had a lot of news to talk about, but we've been talking about this ICJ thing. So I haven't even started the news. Let me pop up a few headlines, at least so we got it. I went to trouble to research the news today and didn't even get around to it. I could have just sat here and extemporaneously commented and we'd have gotten this far. Oh, come on, Tony. There's got to be a better effort than that. It's your sister, man. I mean, my half-sister, my half-brother I'm in touch with, but I lost contact with my half-brother for, over 20 years. But yeah, so you should be able to do it. We should be able to find them. That's a mission here. Tony, if you want, let's make it a mission to find your siblings in Namibia. Yep. Is your father still alive? He might be actively circumventing it then. But let's see what we can do. Man, we got to get you in touch with your family. I mean, they're family. They're kin. Wait a second. Wait, the colonel is suggesting a little white guy be in touch with these colored people. But I thought he was a racist. I thought he was a white supremacist. Oh, I'm so confused. Leftists usually are confused. Hester, born in 74. Well, you got me beat. I wish I was born in 74. It's a matter of urgency, said the attorney who argued 2 years ago or last year that singing Kill the Boer is not an incitement to genocide. It's not a hate crime. But for Israeli officials to say that Hamas must be exterminated means it's genocide. He has, with a straight face, said that it is a matter of urgency. Well, it's not a matter of urgency because Israel went on vacation. Or, excuse me, not Israel. Excuse me. South Africa went on vacation. I had a hard time keeping these separate. It's a matter of urgency. We expect an outcome soon, says Nkukutai Totobi on the order. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows what a court will decide. They will apply themselves after hearing the arguments. We expect an outcome relatively soon. I do not know when, but it will be relatively soon. It's a matter of urgency. It's not a matter of urgency. If it was a matter of urgency, you would have approached the court in October, November, or sometime in December. Not waiting until after you send a nert verbal to the Israeli embassy, which you threatened to close and send home the Israeli ambassador repeatedly over the Christmas holidays. Not a matter of urgency. You're a liar. You're a fraud. You're dishonest. Well, ladies and gentlemen, movement on the Palapala scandal in South Africa. No, not Munir Palapala. Cyril is still in the clear because they refused to investigate his purported crimes. But the gentleman who supposedly bought the buffalo is going, well, he's the subject of investigation for customs violations and currency violations, as I said. SARS opens a criminal case against a buffalo buyer for a fake dollar declaration. There he is. The South African Revenue Service has opened a criminal case against Palapala buffalo buyer Hazim Mustafa, whom President Ramaphosa told various investigators handed him $580,000 in cash to his farm manager back in December 2019. So, sorry, folks, I keep choking here. So there's finally action on this. There is a SARS case against Mustafa for currency violations, which I said has been a crime all along. And there's two parties to currency violation. Number one, there is Mustafa, if he committed. And number two, it is the farm manager and Cyril Ramaphosa for accepting the tainted cash without reporting to authorities that it had not been declared. Because when someone gives you that kind of cash and they come in the country, they must prove identification and information. You can't go to a money changer in South Africa when you get off the plane and get money without giving a passport. And then they record that transaction. That transaction has to be recorded. And they didn't do that. So they committed fraud. Well, Eskom lowers things to stage 2 load shedding, ladies and gentlemen. Stage 2 load shedding till further notice. Yep. Almost 13,500 megawatts still offline due to breakdowns, with 8,400 off for maintenance. That means that 13 and 8 is 22,000 megawatts. Almost half the generation capacity of Eskom offline. Well, congratulations, South Eskom. Major rule of law victory for the Democratic Alliance in the Umdoni municipality in KZN. The court has ruled that the executive committee seat cannot be given to the ANC. The DA has defeated the African National Congress in a high court case over political power on the Umdoni local municipalities executive committee. The KwaZulu-Natal High Court in Durban handed down judgment in the case involving the reallocation of the DA's executive committee seat to the ANC in what the DA calls a power grab. Wow, the case is rooted in the municipality giving the ANC a seat that belonged to the DA after the 2020 municipal elections. When one of their members resigned, the ANC, they held a by-election, they gave the seat to that person illegally. It violates South Africa's governance laws, and the Democratic Alliance has won a major victory here. A major victory. Wow. Watched the Sean Ryan show last night with Sarah Adams with regards to Benghazi attacks. Super cool podcast. Podcast? I don't know who Sean Ryan is. Never heard of Sean Ryan. Yeah, a friend of mine was in the midst of that. He was the security cooperation officer in Tripoli and had been to Benghazi and just before this and had to deal with that whole mess. What a shame. What a horrific situation with that death of Stevens, the ambassador, and all those folks because of the Obama administration's actions. Well, ladies and gentlemen, South Africa has cholera once again. Cases confirmed in Limpopo. 2 cases of cholera have been confirmed in Limpopo on 2 Zimbabwean patients who recently arrived in South Africa after traveling for year-end festivities in Zimbabwe. So 2 people, 2 men aged 43 and 27, went to Zimbabwe over the holidays and came back with cholera. But it's okay, folks. South Africa has its own cases of cholera. Look at Hammanskraal, just outside of Pretoria. AfriForum is calling for the scraping of TV license, the scrapping of them. They've called for television license fees to be scrapped. Said TV licenses have proved to be a woefully ineffective source of funding for SABC. The evasion rate for paying TV license fees stood at a staggering 87%. Therefore, they should be scrapped and replaced with an alternative funding model that actually works, says AfriForum's head of public affairs, our friend Ernst von Sale, the conscious clerical. Wow. Van Sale said the group was writing to the Portfolio Committee of Communications and Digital Technology for the solutions, with their solutions for the SABC's prolonged continued struggles with funding. So AfriForum is not saying get rid of the state-owned entity. They're saying reform how it's paid. Well, a much-hailed and ballyhooed new rail line in South Africa is already off the rails. PRASA quietly suspends the Joburg to Cape Town long-distance service after the fanfare launch. PRASA grabbed headlines back in December when it proudly announced the return of the weekly passenger trains from Joburg to Cape Town and Durban. But 3 weeks after the service resumed, it gave up and quietly suspended the Cape Town leg, defeated by unavailability of reliable locomotives. Oh, my goodness. In February, the rail agency will roll back its Joburg to Durban service to just once a month. 3 weeks after relaunching its Joburg to Cape Town passenger train to great fanfare in December, the Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa, PRASA, gave up and quietly suspended its Shosholozi Mail long-distance train service. This means the failing railway service was only able to run a total of 5 trains from Joburg to Cape Town over 3 weeks. 5 trains over 3 weeks. But the ANC is reinvigorated. The ANC has the answers. Cyril Ramaphosa at the birthday celebration. We can lead South Africa. Yeah, to oblivion. To oblivion. Are you serious? 5 trains in 3 weeks. Wow, that's impressive. That's impressive. South Africa's biggest solar battery now online. Yeah. Courtesy of $1 billion loaned. Hanno Labaskakner writes this story in My Broadband. More power than one of Eskom's old power stations. With a 1,140 megawatt capacity, the battery can supply 150 megawatts of dispatchable power between 5 a.m. and 9:30 throughout the year. Now, that's about 30 megawatts more than the last unit the Commodity Power Station was producing when the 61-year-old plant was decommissioned in October 2022. Yeah, and the 61-year-old plant was operating off of 80-year-old technology. This is operating off of 5-year-old technology. Of course, it's going to produce more. That is a negative comparison that's not necessary. Yeah, anyway, the financing for this was approximately $1 billion, 18.65 billion rand from lenders, including Standard Bank and British International Investment Fund. Yeah, well, let's see if they can pay it back. The Alberton axe murderer accused, this guy, man, oof, scary stuff. Freddie Stapleberg in the dock for allegedly killing his partner and her son. The man who publicly wept following the murder of his long-term partner Nadine Terblanche and her son Ronde Vorster, 9, has made his first court appearance in connection with their killings. The 34-year-old appeared briefly in the Palm Ridge Magistrates Court on Monday, facing 2 counts of premeditated murder. Dressed in a blue shirt and blue jeans, he glared at the court and did not look behind him towards a public gallery where his father and 2 other family members sat alongside members of the Terblanche family. Wow. The state opposed bail. Wow. He appeared as accused number 2 in the matter following several court appearances by the first accused, Pardon Danhire, who was employed as a gardener. Danhire has since abandoned his bail application in connection with the November murders. Wow. Now, Staple, he seems to think he didn't do it. Danhire's most recent court appearance, Stapleberg wept outside the court, saying, "I'm heartbroken. Seeing him in the court breaks my heart. I didn't think that the person I trust would be accused of killing people I love deeply." Stapleberg said he discovered, now this is dishonest by Media 24. They put it in quotes. Why would they put it in quotes? Is it in question that he discovered the bodies? It's alleged that Stapleberg and Danhire killed Terblanche and her son with an axe. Well, they're both trying to blame each other, apparently. Horrible stuff. Horrible stuff, folks. So how are we doing over here? Let me take a look at something real quick while we're chatting here, folks. We got 93 people currently watching and 92 likes. Thank you for that. And a little bit of super chat revenue from several people. I do appreciate that. Let me see if we got some more subscribers because that other video is doing well. That other video has cleared 5,000 now. The one that I did last night, 5,000 views. And let's see how it's doing. I'm just kind of curious because people are tuning into the program right now as we're live. So that's not what I want. Yeah, we started at 730. So we gained 31 subscribers over that video today after gaining subscribers yesterday. But let me just take a look at that actual video and see how it's doing at this hour, if YouTube will give me the data. It doesn't always do that. There it is. So let me go to live. Oh, there it is. That's not live. It's this one here. So let's see. 5,100. 5,073 it's at. So it's starting to tail off now. I had 457 last hour, and we're 36 minutes, just 137 this hour. But be fair, it's evening in South Africa, so people are probably trailing off a little bit there. 89% come from YouTube recommendations, so thank you for that, YouTube. I do appreciate that. All right, so I'll get back to news in a second, but let me get back to chat and catch up with you guys again on the chat here. So, I still don't know who Sean Ryan is. What about the oil membership grifter? Okay, yeah, Matthew Dixon, membership grifter. He just keeps winning. Titles are earned, says Matthew. They are. Yes, ANC will lead us back to the Stone Age. Welcome to Wakanda, Azania Banana. Republic, says Endo. Retardistan. Yep, Viva. Okay, which one of you posted that you're writing a novel? Oh, somebody's writing a novel? Well, I'm writing a novel. The solar panel wires will be stolen, says Tony. Probably. Yep, or the panels themselves. Hey, Miss Tukatela, good to see you there. Been a few days. Post always calls me to not see me. Yeah, that's true. All right, so I'm caught up on the chat. I thought I was behind the chat. Okay, back to the news, folks. Thanks for being here. Be sure to hit the like button. It is Monday, January 15th, 2024, Martin Luther King holiday. Glad to have you with us. Tony wants to ask a question, but I know it's a very controversial topic. You know about Zerzetsen? No, I don't know what that is. What is that? Hardest part is actually starting the book, and I'm wishing you... Yeah, it is. Once you get started, sometimes it just flows, you know? I don't really hit writer's block, but getting started. It's kind of like the piece that I wrote for Substack, and then I expanded on it and did that video last night. All right, so balance of payments in South Africa. Yeah, that's not a pretty picture either. South Africa used to have a very positive trade balance, but it's not been so great. So... All right, so now here's a good news story, folks. Thanks for hanging around. This one's for the colored folks, but more for the Khoi and San. But here you go. Check it out. This is pretty cool. The Uniting Southern African Arts, the Kalahari Arts and Heritage Festival gears up for its third edition. Performers from mainly Khoi and San communities of South Africa, Botswana, and Namibia are set to showcase their talent on the third edition of the annual Kalahari Arts and Heritage Festival. Around 20 short films made by ambitious first-time filmmakers from within the marginalized Khoi and San communities in the Kalahari will feature in the broader program of this year's third annual Kalahari Arts and Heritage Festival. Let me ask you this question, folks. Why are the Khoi and San marginalized? The government of Botswana has been run by black Botswana forever. Even when it was a protectorate, it was run by the Dikosi, and it's been run by black Botswana since 1966. Why are the Khoi and San of Namibia marginalized? They've been run by a black government since 1989. Why is the Khoi and San population of South Africa marginalized? It's been run by a black-led government in South Africa since 1994. There's no reason why these people should be marginalized at all. At all. Why are they marginalized? Or are we going to use that term forever? Going to use it forever. No, come on. Stop marginalizing. The extravaganza will explode into life once again at the peak of the summer at the end of this month. Taking place from January 24th to 27th, for the first time the event will be hosted in Philandersbron in the Northern Cape, one of the Khoi and San communities located on the margins of South Africa's international borders with Namibia and Botswana. Festival director Helena Steenkamp said the last two editions of the much-anticipated festival has conveyed untold stories of culture, customs of the Khoi and San through song, dance, art exhibitions, film screenings, and workshops. There you go. Cool beans. It's not only a platform for exhibiting and retaining the Khoi and San culture, but a living memory and archive for where humanity comes from. There you go. So that's pretty cool. So these are from previous ones, obviously. All right. Well, I'll see if I can't get some of those folks on here. Hey, Grow Big TV. Good to see you there. Now, this story is interesting, folks. You're not going to love this one. You're going to be horrified by this one. You're going to be horrified by this one. He's an ex-Navy SEAL, CIA contractor, current CEO of Vigilance Elite. Do yourself a huge favor and check him out. Okay. Sean Ryan. Do myself a favor. Okay. Okay. Sean Ryan. Where's that at? Where'd it go? HAWNRYAN, ex-Navy. Okay. Yep. Okay. So this story here is interesting, but let me get to there's some more chat here. Grow Big TV shows up. Good to see you there. Patrick's here. Calabash. Who's Calabash? Where's Calabash? I didn't see somebody called Calabash. Whoever that is. Nick Muller's here. All right. So back down here where I was at. Keith says now should be the moment for the Bushmen. We need some non-dwarves for a classical Snow White. Good Lord. It's to choose a Republican presidential representative. Huh? What was Ant's question? All the many bush camps the Okavango employ. Yeah, they are. The Sun are fantastic trackers. Phone typing, watching TV is killing me. Hopefully your computer is back. Interaction with Khoi and San has been on humility. Yeah, they're very amazing people. Great interaction with Khoi and San. All right, so OR Tambo Airport. Someone dropped off their car at a long-term parking facility. Apparently, you must leave your keys there. She came back and found out that her car had been used on 27 joyrides. The people whom she got the car from, when she noticed it, called her a liar. And then she documented the evidence and she sent it to the company, and they're trying to make it right and recompensate her. But they've never apologized to her, particularly after calling her a liar. Dashcam discovery: over 4 days, a parking employee at OR Tambo took a woman's car on 27 joyrides. An employee of Rainbow Parking, a company offering long-term parking at OR Tambo, used a client's vehicle while she was overseas. The man dropped off his girlfriend at work and made midnight trip to KFC Streetwise 2 with pop he bought. He denied it, but the client had the receipts, dashcam footage, and a tracker report. When Stephanie Walters picked up her car from OR Tambo after traveling to London to see clients, she knew something's wrong. Flour had been spilled in the car's boot, and documents she'd left in the back seat had been moved. At home, she downloaded the tracking report and was horrified to see that while she was away, her car, a Smart 4.4, had been taken on 27 trips, clocking 119 kilometers. Now she wants answers from Rainbow Parking, an external service provider the airport had recommended to her while their long-term parking facility is closed. Walters, a 36-year-old digital strategist, showed News 24 the track report, which revealed details of various trips from December 4th when she dropped her car off to December 8th when she collected it. When picking up my car, I opened the boot and saw flour all over the place. This most certainly wasn't there when I dropped the car off. She raised this with the person who handed the car back to her, but was told to go somewhere else to report it. Who has the time to do that after you just landed in an airport? When she arrived home, she sent Rainbow Parking a complaint via email. Later, she viewed the dashcam footage and was gobsmacked at what she saw. A Rainbow Parking employee using her car to take his girlfriend to work. Walters listened in disbelief as the two discussed their holiday plans. She also watched footage of him driving to a man's house and demanding money from him. The conversation was audible on the dashcam recording. She added that he also took the car home on a midnight trip to KFC for a Streetwise 2 and pop and to the shops. One of the items he had bought was the flour that spilt in the boot. I was in utter disbelief. I can't believe that someone would do something like that. There were so many other big fancy cars, and I think he took mine because he thought it was small, cheap car, so he would be safe. Seeing how he drove, he didn't wear a seatbelt. He didn't use the indicators. The mess he made and the potential for catastrophe has me thinking that Rainbow Parking really can't get away with this. When she confronted the parking company, she was accused of lying, she said, but she kept receipts, the video footage, which she sent to Rainbow Parking. It kills me to know they can just get away with this, and this is not the first time. I also feel the airport should be held accountable as they approve these vendors. Exactly. And here's a little map that they put together of all the places on that date, December 5th. After midnight, he took the car. Wow. Unbelievable. After following complaints, she realized that some of the items that she left in the car were missing, including her car mat. The employee and his girlfriend had spilt drinks inside the car and had removed the mat. She added that her license disc had also been removed. Great, now she's going to get a ticket when she gets stopped. To add insult, her car phone charger was taken and her gum container emptied. The owner of Rainbow Parking, Leon Alumbi, told News 24 he received the complaint and that disciplinary proceedings were underway against the employee. Disciplinary, criminal proceedings, that's theft. That person needs to be in jail. He stole her property. What if he had an accident in the car? Unbelievable. Sean interviewed, Jimmy Coons is here, interviewed the head of maintenance on the nanoparticle weapon we have in Antarctica. I don't know anything about that, Jimmy Coons. Sounds like conspiracy stuff. Rajal says, finally. Well, where you been, Rajal? Where you been, man? Ms. Tucatela says, I'm coping a long time used to being on my own. I have no extent. Ms. Tucatela, what's going on? I'm sorry. Did I miss something? Ms. Tucatela. Well, Ms. Tucatela, next time I'm in South Africa, we need to make sure you get to one of the meet and greets. Or if I can, I'll swing by and say hello to you. Yeah. Where did this go? My chat's just disappearing here. Okay. Wow. All right. That's where I was before. It's catching up now. You have to understand in the software here, it doesn't always play nice. Sometimes it just reloads it. Oh, there we go. There's Mr. Cattell. Okay. All right. Oh, now it's just stuck on me again. Good Lord. Very frustrating. Okay. Back to Mr. Cattell. Okay. There's Jimmy. Found that. Rajal. Forward didn't meet. Forward what, Rajal? Forward what? I missed something there. Had some issues logging in. Okay, I'm glad you're here. All right. I have to hunt for this site because there are no notifications. I have to check manually. Ms. Tucatela, do you use Telegram or WhatsApp? If you use Telegram or WhatsApp, then let us know. Hendo, if you're still here, could you put the Telegram and WhatsApp link up for people to join? Ryan is a great interview. You should get your people in touch with his people. My people is me. And I like to think I'm a great interviewer too. In law, it might be short of theft. In the UK, we have taking without the owner's consent. Okay, Keith. All right, it's theft here. It's theft here. Yep, we don't have that. All right, so Miss Taylor uses WhatsApp. So, Hendo, if you're here, could you put the WhatsApp group up there? One of the groups, one of the links, or Erica's probably not able to do that, but put the link up and so she can join it. I always tell people over and over and over and over again, if you want to be notified about my videos, you can't count on broadcasting platform. You have to. They only send it to less than 1% of my subscribers. They're supposed to send it to all the people who asked to be sent, and that's about 18% of people say they want all notifications. So you've got to join the WhatsApp or Telegram group so you get the notification. They're all put in there all the time, although today wasn't because I was short notice here. Jim's laughing about something. What's Jimmy laughing about? Okay. SEAL and CIA. Oh, you're laughing because I said I think I'm a good interviewer. Man, that sucks. Anyway, well, back to the story I was talking about, folks. Hamas teasing about the fate of hostages, including Noah Argamani, in disturbing propaganda video. Hamas released a video on Sunday of 3 Israeli captives, including Nova Rave attendee Noah Argamani, who became the face of the hostage crisis after footage showed her being dragged off on a motorcycle. The video included a disturbing teaser, "Tomorrow we will inform you of their fate." Argamani, who's 26, and fellow hostages Yossi Sharabi, 53, and Itai Srivsky, 38, were seen for the first time since their kidnapping October 7th in the video. It's unclear when the video was filmed. They conclude with a message to Israeli people claiming your government is lying. The troubling development came after Hamas claimed to have lost contact with many of his hostages after Israeli bombardments in Gaza suggest they might have been killed. Here she is being kidnapped back on October 7th. And that's their statement. "Tomorrow we will inform you of their fate." The video did not elaborate on the condition of 3 hostages who were among the estimated 250 kidnapped during the brutal attack. She's featured in one of the first videos of the attack with her seen screaming, "Don't kill me," as she's carried away in the back of a motorcycle. The sobbing hostage was pictured trying to reach out to her boyfriend, who was being manhandled by the terrorists before they took him as well. There's a picture of her along the seashore. There's, that's her mother. And there's Yossi Sharabai. And there's another kidnapped Israeli. But where's the anger over that? Are the folks that were complaining about that, are they still here? Are they still here? Helping son try to start his diesel truck. Oh, and minus 20, that's going to be fun. Where is he currently? There are multiple groups, Rejald. In WhatsApp, we have... The main one is Chris. Well, that's the members. So let me find one that's the WhatsApp. We've got the Cafe Clutch. That's one. That's a good one. Cafe Clutch. And the other ones are all from the tours. So yeah, it's probably best. It's best to send people to the Cafe Clutch because the member is for members, paying members. Yep. Oh, Charles, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure that happens probably on a daily basis, no doubt. Yep, no doubt about it. So Nauru, the tiny little island that's nothing but fertilizer, is abandoning Taiwan and picking the People's Republic of China. Nauru becomes the first ally to switch allegiance to Beijing after the weekend presidential election in Taiwan. There is the entire nation. It will seek full resumption of diplomatic relations with the Chinese Communists. Less than 48 hours after the election. Decision leaves Taiwan with just 12 formal diplomatic allies. Yep. Now, they used to back China before, but that was just for 3 years, and they went back to Taiwan. So Nauru, who cares? Now, here's another sign that China's economy is in trouble, according to Newsweek, but it's been in trouble for a long time. Chinese exports are taking a hit. They dipped for the first time since 2016, according to official data. The $3.38 trillion worth of products that China sold to the world last year was 4.6% less than in 2022. However, exports went back up in December, but they are down, and China is struggling. Germany avoids recession, barely, at the end of 2023, but faces a prolonged slump. Manufacturing sector, excluding construction, fell by 2%, led by lower production in the energy sector. The fourth quarter recorded a similar 0.3 drop in July-September period. The German economy is in trouble. Europe's largest economy contracted by 0.03% year-on-year on 2023. Well, then they are essentially in a recession. Germany is in a recession. No wonder, with the outrageously high electricity rates, with the cost of taking care of the world, with all the invaders who invaded the country. Iceland's lava slowing down after a day of destruction. Man, this is Grindavik, crazy stuff here. Look at this picture here. In the distance in that photograph from Reuters, you can see the lights of Reykjavik further up the Reykjanes Peninsula there. But that is Grindavik there at the bottom of the peninsula, and that is the Earth split. Flights from Keflavik Airport were operating as normal despite this. Wow. So here you see the new fissures that opened up. You can see the map there where Reykjavik is up in the distance. The December fissure is in white. The new fissures are lower down there with the red. And the second one's right next to Grindavik. Oh my goodness. That's crazy stuff. And there you can see it just pouring out. Now they built barriers, but the barriers were overwhelmed by the lava as it took over some of the town. German farmer protest continues as tractors clog Berlin. They're in the capital for a fresh day of protests against German government plans and tax breaks on diesel fuel for the agricultural sector. Mit Herz und Verstand für Zusammenhalt im ganzen Land. Yep. Protests drew some 10,000 farmers with 5,000 tractors and trucks, along with others from across Germany. Germany's finance minister, Christian Lindner, took the stage in front of thousands of farmers. I can't promise you more state aid from the federal budget, but we can fight together for you to enjoy more freedom and respect for your work. Yeah, right. Yeah, sure they can. Sure they can. Anyway, protests sweep across Germany as the far-right spots an opening. Now, this is not news. This is being reported as news by Nadine Schmidt, Claudia Otto, and Sophia Tano on CNN. Reported as news. That's not news. This is opinion. So they are making the argument that this event is an opening for the far right, the Alternative für Deutschland, the AfD. But here's the problem. Isn't Hamas's war in Gaza an opening for the ANC, the far left? Why is it the far left is never accused of taking advantage of world events or using world events for political gain? It's what they do every day. What do you think the left does with this bogus gender and nonsense, transphobia, and this critical race theory and the Ku Klux Klan in Boston, you know? It's all the left taking political advantage. But they don't mention that. BRICS Summit was last year, Rejald. I was there. I covered it. I did broadcasts from there. I did videos on the event. Yep. So this is nonsense. They mislead with fake news. This is not news. This is opinion. Farmers across Germany have been bringing major roads to a standstill in protests, piling misery on Chancellor Olaf Scholz's governing coalition amid fury over subsidy cuts. That's true. But now they say many are warning the far-right alternative for Germany is capitalizing the chaos for its own political gain. And what is the left doing? What is the left doing? The same thing. Utter nonsense. Thousands of tractors blocked the streets of Berlin. Look at that. Farmers gathered in German capital to join a giant rally demanding a rethink of the government's plans to tax them more. Absolutely. Yeah. So now we get to the damning and scary stuff I've talked about earlier. Germany. The German army could be deployed to Poland for the first time since World War II. The flames of world conflict being fanned by the media. German troops would be welcome in Poland to strengthen NATO's eastern flank against any threat posed by Russia, according to Polish Deputy Foreign Minister Andrzej Sejna, who said that his comments could signal a shift from Warsaw towards Germany, which invaded Poland in 1939. Yeah, so, interesting. So, now that's happening, but we also saw that in addition to this, it's being reported in the press that the Germans have a plan and they're going to fight Russia in 2025. That is very inflammatory and unnecessary to report because it's a lie. The United Kingdom, which says Rwanda is safe for asylum seekers, grants asylum to Rwandans. So, the UK government granted asylum seekers from Rwanda refuge on the basis that they would not be safe in their home country, even as it argued Rwanda was a safe destination from which to could send asylum seekers, a news analysis of government data shows. The I newspaper splashed details across its front page on Monday after analysis of government data showed at least 6 people from Rwanda have been granted asylum in Britain since the country signed a formal deportation. Another 32 have been granted safe refuge over the past decade. Now let me show you how the media are dishonest or they're just woefully ignorant. Let me explain something to you, a case of a woman who was granted asylum in America. When I was instructing at the Army War College as the Director of African Studies, we had a student from the Congo, Congolese student, who was married with a wife with a small child. He brought his wife to Carlisle, and then he beat his wife and mistreated her. Neighbors reported to the police. Social services got involved. Under asylum, given the circumstances, he was a guest here in America. He wasn't an immigrant here. She faced a serious, real, genuine danger to her life should she return to the Congo. And that's what he wanted to do, was send her back to the Congo. I was involved in the case because I speak French, and they had no French linguists. So I got to do the job of a PFC as a full colonel, going to lawyers, going to immigration court, going to social services, going to the home where she was, the refuge, the shelter where she was at. All of this. I dealt with social workers, something I didn't want to be involved in, but I had to do it. So she was ultimately granted asylum, not because of political persecution in the Congo, but because her life was in danger. And the government, the state here, felt they had an obligation to protect her since she had been invited here. Now, let me explain something. When the media run this story to try to make the UK look like hypocrites, they neglect two things. Number one, situations like the circumstances I just told you about, which have nothing to do with whether a country is politically persecuting somebody or persecuting them based on their gender or their sexual orientation. This is a case of someone whose life is in imminent danger, and therefore she was granted asylum. Still lives here, now speaks English, couldn't speak a word of English. That's why I had to be the French interpreter. And she's got a job and contributing to American society, and her child's being raised here. But he went back. He was sent back to the Congo after his year here. But she got to stay here because he was a wife beater and an abuser. So those 6 cases could very well be a circumstance like that or other circumstances. It doesn't make the UK a hypocrite when it comes to saying Rwanda is safe. These are idiots who don't know the world. And they splash these headlines out there, just like Israel and Gaza, without any understanding of law, without any understanding of the circumstances involved in situations like this. Rwanda is safe for people to go as asylum seekers, as long as they're not genocideers. The fact that the UK is granted asylum to a handful of people from Rwanda doesn't mean anything. It's very, very possible that that UK has also granted asylum to people from Romania and Bulgaria. Doesn't mean those countries aren't safe to go to. Stupid stuff, stupid people, and fake news. And this is being in the news by Philip DeVette in News 24. That's just a dumb story there, Philip DeVette. Very dumb story. He has a whole analysis here. Yep. Utter nonsense. An effort to embarrass the UK. They could do enough to embarrass themselves. Well, 5 Republican storylines at the Iowa caucuses, which take place today. I'll probably do a broadcast tonight, folks, because the caucuses are tonight, and I'll give you a wrap-up of what happened in Iowa after it's over. So they meet at 7 p.m. Central Time. That's where Iowa's at. That means 8 o'clock my time. So we will not get the answers probably until about 9:30, 10 o'clock my time, and I'll go live this evening to convey the results of the Iowa caucus, in which Donald Trump is, according to straw polls, way out in front. Now, a caucus is not a primary. It's a group of party officials who get together. They sit down and they pick their favorite fully 10 months before the election. That's what happens. So here are some things about the caucus tonight. The field has winnowed considerably over recent months, but one thing has remained consistent. Former President Trump continues to tower over his party's future despite the best efforts of his rivals and the fake media and the rogue Department of Justice. Trump's knockout punch: unless there's a dramatic polling error, Donald Trump is going to win the Iowa caucuses. He has broad and enthusiastic support among Republican voters in the state, and a ground organization significantly more sophisticated than the shoestring team that delivered a second-place finish to Ted Cruz back in 2016. So, The final poll puts him at 48-20 over Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis at 16%. Now, here's the thing, folks. No one has ever won the Iowa caucus by more than like 12 points, and only twice has been double figures. So we'll see what happens. I don't even know who Ryan Binkley is. Yeah, looking for second place. Nikki Haley desperately wants that second place. It's DeSantis' last stand, according to BBC. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Things have a habit of changing. Not a DeSantis supporter, but things have a habit of changing. The Biden regime is demanding that Texas immediately give them access to state land and stop blocking the Border Patrol. Of course, this is a lie and a misstatement as to what happened here. Yep, the Biden regime demanded Sunday that Texas immediately stop its efforts blocking U.S. Border Patrol's access along a portion of the U.S.-Mexico border, where late Friday a woman and 2 children drowned after agents were barred from the area by state officials. Of course, that's a lie, according to Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, who set the record straight, but the media has covered up that story. It disappeared from the press. Only Fox News is covering the story, telling the truth. Now, this is going to be truly shocking, and thank you to the 83 people who are still here. Be sure to give us a like and hit that like button. Listen to this. This is shocking. This is how far we have gone from reality with diversity, equity, and inclusion. You ready for this? The Federal Aviation Administration, which is responsible for aviation safety, the lives of all of us who fly and everyone on the ground, because planes fall out of the air and hit people on the ground. Look at Lockerbie. The FAA's diversity push includes focused on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. The FAA says these people with severe disabilities are the most underrepresented segment of the federal workforce. Gee, I wonder why people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities are not employed by the government in aviation safety. I don't know. It might just be because we're worried about the safety of human beings. My goodness. My goodness. This is insanity. Absolute insanity, folks. The Federal Aviation Administration is actively recruiting workers who suffer severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric problems, and other mental and physical conditions under a diversity and inclusion hiring initiative spelled out on the agency's website. Targeting disabilities are those disabilities that the federal government, as a matter of policy, has identified for special emphasis in recruiting and hiring. It's part of the FAA's diversity and inclusion hiring plan. What the hell is wrong with Pete Buttigieg? Is this guy got his head up his butt or his partner's butt? What the hell? What the hell? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The FAA wants to hire people with severe intellectual, in other words, mentally dumb, and psychiatric conditions. Are you serious? Well, the Republic is at risk once again as state authorities seek to abrogate the authority of local officials throughout the country, happening in leftist states where they have passed laws to rescind democratic representation. Yep, and what are we talking about? This is all for the green energy bogus scam. States with big climate goals are stripping local power to block green projects. Clean energy developers have planned a 75-wind turbine wind farm in Michigan's Montcalm County before local voters shot down the idea back in 2022 and recalled 7 local officials who had supported it. 150 miles southeast, Clara Ostrander in Monroe County found herself at the center of a similar conflict as rising medical costs forced her and her husband to consider selling land her family has owned for 150 years. She wanted to lease a parcel of that land to a solar farm, but neighboring residents complained and the township changed the zoning. So, local restrictions in Michigan derailed more than 24 utility-scale renewable energy projects as of last May. Nationwide, at least 228 restrictions in 35 states have been imposed to stop green energy projects. Why? Because people don't want this garbage in their backyard. Nobody wants this in their backyard, so they're stopping it. Look at Martha's Vineyard, where Kennedy, when he's still alive, stopped a wind turbine farm. Michigan and more than a dozen states are seeking to upend the decision-making process by grabbing power to supersede local restrictions and allow state authorities to approve or disapprove locations for utility-scale projects. This sparked a political backlash that may escalate as more states seek to simplify getting green energy projects approved and built. We can't allow projects of statewide importance that are critical to our state energy security to be vetoed on purely local concerns, says Dan Scribbs, chair of Michigan's Public Service Commission. So his approach is that he has the authority to undermine the value and destroy the quality of life of people in local communities because it benefits people in the state. Fascist. Scribbs and 2 other commission members now have the power to cite on large-scale renewable energy projects in the state under legislation passed by Michigan lawmakers and signed by Demon Rat Gretchen Whitless in November. Michigan joined Connecticut, New York, Oregon, and Minnesota in requiring utility providers to transition to 100% carbon-free electricity generation by 2040. Of course, that's a myth. There is no such thing as carbon-free electricity generation. It's a lie. The goals are consistent with the Biden regime's target of carbon pollution-free electricity by 2035 and net zero emissions by 2050. Local officials saying giving states power to cite large-scale energy project clashes with cherished U.S. political principles. Local officials, they say, are the public servants closest to and most directly accountable to voters. They argue it's especially important when it comes to land use and what gets built near their homes. Exactly. This is a power grab by fascist, demon rat, leftist hate wankers. And it's going on right under our noses. It's already happened in several states. Top congressional leaders prepare for votes on a stopgap spending bill. Well, they're going to spend more money they don't have. Congress. Chucky Schumer talking about it. Mike Johnson in the House talking about it. A March 1st deadline, they will apply to 4 of the regular 12 appropriations bills. So 4 bills need to be addressed by March 1st because these cowards can't make an annual budget. Agriculture bill, the energy and water development, military construction, veterans affairs, transportation must be dealt with by March 1st. On March 8th, it's commerce, justice, science, defense, financial services, homeland security, interior, environment, labor, legislative branch, and state and foreign operations. So they cannot approve a budget. It is January. The year started fiscally on October 1st, and we're already through the first quarter, and these morons haven't passed a budget. Well, the leader of the Wu Klux Klan, the Plessy versus Ferguson, pro-segregation, separate but equal in Boston, Massachusetts, who holds parties for people of color while denying members of her government access to the party because they happen to be white. The leader of this racist-inspired organization, the Wu Klux Klan, says she has no interest in a top job at Harvard. How is this race hustler even being considered for a job at Harvard? It shows you how broken the country is. Wu also said housing is the city's biggest stress, and there's no way half of the Boston public schools will close on Sunday. I don't know what that is. Anyway, Mayor Michelle Wu, leader of the Wu Klux Klan, will not be replacing former Harvard President Claudine Gay, she stated on the record segment on Sunday, speaking to the heavily besieged president's resignation. I have absolutely no plans to leave this amazing job I have. I'm busy suppressing the rights of majority whites in this town. It's a very important decision for me to oppress whites, and the university is going to make, in a time of tremendous stress and challenge, I can do more harm here as the mayor of Boston than I ever could as the president of Harvard. She didn't say any of that. I just said it. Yeah. Well, they haven't worked, folks. I've talked about this story. The BBC finally wakes up to the news. I've talked about this over the past several months. The self-checkout kiosk that were introduced at great expense, profiting many companies that make them and write the software and the equipment for them, to the detriment of consumers whose prices went up because they had to pay for these self-checkout kiosks in Walmart and in Kroger's and in Giant and all these other places. Well, they're a massive failure. They're a massive failure, as I said. It hasn't delivered the spectacular failure of self-checkout technology. Unstaffed tills were supposed to revolutionize shopping. Now both retailers and customers are bagging many self-checkout kiosks. Yep. For shoppers, self-checkout was supposed to provide convenience and speed. Retailers hoped it would usher in a new age of cost savings. Why pay 6 employees when you could pay 1 to oversee customers at self-service registers? They do their own labor of scanning and bagging for free. While self-checkout technology is theoretically selling points for both consumer and business, it isn't living up to expectations. Customers are still queuing. They still need store employees to help clear kiosk errors or check their identifications for age-restricted items. Stores still need to have workers on hand to help them and service the machines. And in some cases, it's more trouble than it's worth. Yep, it hasn't delivered on its promises. Unexpected problems in the bagging area. Yep. Walmart has removed some self-checkout kiosks in certain stores to deter theft. Well, duh. Humans versus machines. Yeah. Well, look at that. Target with their self-checkout. Yep. It isn't working. I told you it wasn't working. And so did the news. But the BBC, it took them a while to catch up. They now know that it isn't working. Well, we got 111 likes, 10 new members, 75 currently watching, 111 likes. That's pretty cool, folks. Thanks for that. Appreciate that. I saw self-checkout in Las Vegas when I was there in 2015. Yep. Customers don't want to be served by machines. I don't mind it at times. Last night, I went to the grocery store and bought some Little Debbie cakes, Little Debbie cakes, because I had a sweet tooth last night. And there was almost nobody in the grocery store. The only person I saw working there was the guy standing over the checkout tills, and I went and I checked out, and I was done in a minute. So yeah, so sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. Rajal will check your show. I think he's talking to Zulu, to White Zulu, to Fiona. Cool. Wind turbines, complete waste of time. Agreed. No disagreement there. Jimmy, where did Jimmy go? I'm about to apply right after this. What are you going to apply to, Jimmy? What are you applying to? What's the latest on the southern border? Your take on sleeper cells using the border across the U.S. Will the U.S. wake up? No, we won't wake up, but it'll take another 9/11, and then they'll still try to get away with this. As long as the leftists are in charge of this country, they will abandon our national security. Have you seen the footage of these people slipping through the wire where the Texas National Guard are trying to stop them? This is unbelievable. And they get through and they think they're entitled. Kick them back out, send them packing. Yep. States tell Washington what has to be done. Nothing. Well, that's the way it's supposed to be, Tony. And in this case, it's not Washington. It's the state telling local communities, and it's not supposed to be like that. No need for that language there, Patrick. Okay. Yeah, but how can we stop news outlets like CNN and Fox from being so biased? Isn't there no law? There's no law against it. There's law against lying. You can't misrepresent. That can be fraud, but you can have opinions. They can have whatever opinions they want. Didn't CNN announce that they're a left-leaning news outlet before the news will always be biased left? Well, they're no longer that. They claim they're not now. The WhatsApp group. Okay. Oh, that's why you're talking about the BRICS Summit. Okay, let me get you the... okay, I don't know where Hendo's at. Let me just get that one, okay? Let me find this real quick. I'm going to find the Cafe Clutch. That's probably a good one here. Where's it at here? Colonel's Cafe Clutch, okay. Group info, links, okay. That's not what I want. Back, stop. Cafe Clutch, settings, where's that? Come on, settings. No, I don't want that. Why doesn't it give me that? I can get the link. It's usually a thing where I can get the link. I can't find the link. Did I not create it? Oh, here we go. Invite group via link. Okay, copy link. Okay, so here you go. So here's the link. This is the link for the Cafe Clutch. So this is the Cafe Clutch, which I don't think has a lot of members in it because we haven't pushed it, but that's the one that is probably the best for forever sort of thing because you don't have to be a paying member to be a member. So there's the Cafe Clutch. If you want to join that, all of the videos are posted in that on WhatsApp. If you're on Telegram, we can get you a Telegram link too, okay? There's bigger groups on Telegram because I hit the right time when Telegram was growing and I had 1,500 in one of my groups, but that's down to about 700 now as people left. Yeah, news organizations should be reporting the news. They can have op-ed and analysis, but they have to clearly identify it. The problem is that they've blurred the two. Now, my program is analysis and op-ed. That's what I tell you all along. I bring you the news, but I also give you op-ed. So that's the bottom line there. Okay. George says, thanks to whoever gifted a membership. Hey, George. Good to see you there. Vivek's time will come. It's Trump's time now. Okay. All right. What else we got here? Video showed yesterday hundreds of wind turbines in Montana not working and minus 30. Yep. Not one was turning. I didn't see that video. I'm not surprised. Not surprised. They shouldn't put stuff in places like that. So what are you saying? You want to go live in Uppington? Huh? When did I say that? What are you talking about? When did I say I want to live in Uppington? Never said that. Renewed terrorist attack in Israel. Yeah, no, I saw that Palestinian terrorist gunned down pedestrians, but I couldn't find a link to it. The only place was Fox News, and Fox News has done something to their website. I have an account with them, but now every time I go to a story, I have to send my email. They send me an email to log into that one story, and then every story, it's ridiculous. I don't know what's going on with Fox News, so I can't rely on them as a news source anymore. Okay, Rajal will join that group, okay? So there it is. Oh, there's the Substack one too. Yeah, thanks. Hendo's put up my Substack. Folks, you can catch my Substack. I've got a few things on there. Do you read Sunday Times? Which Sunday Times? From the UK? I read the Times. You talking about from South Africa? I read that one. Yeah. So is everywhere in the U.S. you can go steal for less than... No, George. That's only in California. Only in California. It's $900 plus some dollars, and it's no longer considered a felony. They don't even bother to prosecute it. Smoke and mirrors are South Africa deflecting from shortcomings. Yep, that's correct. That's correct. Fiona's taking off. Thanks for being here, Fiona. Have a good night. And Maryland's been a bit busy. John Van Eden says, Chris, you summed up the South African attempts perfectly. Thank you for that, John. Are you talking about tonight or talking about on the video I did previously last night that was that I posted? That one now is got to have over 5,000 views on it. Let me see. 5,200. It's 5,236. It's tapering off now because it's getting later in South Africa. So it had 213 last hour, but a few hours ago it got 777 in 1 hour. So, yep, cool beans on that. So thanks for that. 29 subscribers according to them, but I think that actually undercounts how many are there. Yeah, so that's seen a nice markup in viewers here in the since 11 o'clock last night when I posted that thing after midnight. So I posted after midnight and it jumped to 152. And since then it was on a glide path at 700. Now it's kind of slipped down, then back up, then back down. So the high point was I got 814 people watching my channel last night from this morning, 7 to 8. So that was prime time in South Africa. So anyway, let me take a look at a few things here real quick. Okay, there we go. Got that one. Okay, I looked at that. So that one says 5,200 plus now. It's my number one video out of the top most recent 10. But, you know, Cheryl Alfred said babies in ovens, what, barbaric? So now I'm not picking on Cheryl Alfred to comment here, but it's someone who watched that, and that's the first time someone heard they put babies in ovens. Yeah, this is reported widely on October 7th, but of course it's not being emphasized. Yeah, it's horrific what they did. Absolutely horrific. Garrett got booed off Cafe Clutch for descending. Okay, well, you shouldn't have misbehaved. Sunday crimes. Garrett was misbehaving at one time for some reason. I don't know what was going on. I don't know which group it was, but he got in trouble. Can I apply for the job where you are in charge of USA's nukes? I qualify by having free-flowing anxiety. I'm not in charge of the nukes and have no interest in being in charge of that. The president's in charge of that. That's not my cup of tea and not my gig. I'm not doing that. So, yeah, blistering day and thunderstorms. Did you see Ace says the ANC will not rig the votes now that he has his own party? That he knows the ANC's tricks, implying they previously rigged elections. Yes, I didn't see that, joking atheist. But these people are not very bright. So basically says now they'll no longer rig the elections because I know how they do it. So he just admitted they were illegitimate in their governance. Yeah, well, that's interesting. The ANC's imploding and their cackling hyenas are misbehaving, and there's the evidence of it right there. Joris Milan in the video on YouTube. He works along the Orange River. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. Yeah, exactly, Rajald. Who is George Milan? Never heard of that guy. Do you have Gareth Cliff on the group? I don't know. I didn't look. That group I just sent you is not a very big one. Canaros Cafe Clutch has members. It doesn't tell me how many members. Well, actually, there's only a handful. Come on. Oh, there are a lot of members here. Yeah, I can't get a number. They used to tell you how many members are in it. So, yeah, I don't know how many members. You've got somebody from Germany on there. So, yeah, that's a Cafe Clutch. So you can get into that one. Yep. So, of course, that's a play on the German phrase, Kaffee Klatsch. It's a coffee gathering. So I thought it was kind of cool. But, yeah, how did your Super Brew work out? Oh, that's a good question, George. Let me go look and see. I haven't looked at my Super Brew since it wasn't great. It wasn't looking great. The Cheetahs let me down. That was so disappointing. Cheetahs they let themselves down. So let me see. So there were, over the weekend on Friday, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, shoot. Hang on a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14 games on Saturday and 4 on Sunday. 3 on Friday. So 14, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 games. On Friday, I got 2 out of 3. On Saturday, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of the 14 games I called correctly. And I got 1, 2, 3 match points. And then on Sunday, I got 2 of the 4 correct, and I got match point in the Bath game. So that means I got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 of the 21 games I called correct, and with, I think, 5 or 6 match points. But other people did very well, so that I didn't really go anywhere. Let me take a look and see. So player number 1 jumped 3 spots to the top spot. Congratulations to that. Call Me Novak jumped 3 spots to number 5. Congratulations. Matt Canali went up 3 spots to number 8. I went up 1 spot to number 9. So Matt Canali's jumped ahead of me. Matt, well done in the Champions Cup. That's pretty good. And well done to player number 1. That's some big movements this week. Juan must not have picked anything because he went down 7 spots, and the scientist went down 13 spots to number 15. You must have made no picks, the scientist. What happened there, man? Did you not get your stuff in? That's crazy. Anyway, Fleshin is down 4 spots. He's at the bottom of that pool. Sorry, buddy. And then let's look at the Challenge Cup, which was the more pressing one. Player number 1 got the yellow cap. He's at the top. Ballistic Nick jumped 2 spots. And then not any major movement here. Roger went up 4 spots from 18 to 14. I dropped 4 spots. Ooh, I dropped 4 spots. That Challenge Cup is killing me. So I'm in 18th out of 20. I could wind up at the bottom of the pool. So not a great weekend, even though I picked 15. You get 15 out of 21 games correct, you ought to be doing well. That's over 2/3. It's almost 70%. Must remember to watch Dreekus. Never misbehave. Just speak my honest mind. People are sensitive. All right. Okay. So, yeah, that's what happened. All right. So, folks, I'll be back on tonight. I've got some work to do, but I'll be back on tonight because I'm going to talk about the Iowa caucuses and what happened at that. So I'll be watching network or cable news tonight for the first time in donkey years. I haven't watched cable news, gosh, probably in a year. I'll be watching some tonight because that's where the results will be coming in, also online. Stand in the queue, Tony. I'm winning Powerball. Oh, good. Charles, if you win the Powerball, let me know. I'd like a little cut of that. Not a lot. Just a couple 100 million rand. All right. All right, folks. Thanks for being here. Be sure to hit the like button. A lot of people still here at this hour. Appreciate the super chats. Appreciate the likes. And I'm very grateful for the number of viewers. We've had a really good stream in addition to the other videos going well. So thanks a lot. Be sure to spread the word. Help us overcome the shadow banning that we are so not fond of. Tony Nage, good to see you again. George, thank you for being here. It was a Leka conversation. Cheers, everybody. Have a good evening. And I'll catch you later on. Got work to do now. It's 1:23 in the afternoon here on the East Coast. And we'll catch you later. Cheers.